try to respond on time. But there is that, so we now have that portal. Please make use of it. Go and register if you have not. Honestly speaking, I can tell you now that you will be able to get those opportunities if you register. You follow the instructions. Some, like your RFQs, of course, we do try to promote localization because we are also supposed to promote local suppliers. But when we talk about localization, for me, Matjhabeng Bloemfontein is local as far as I'm concerned. So there's no discrimination there, or to say, you won't supply stationery because of 1, 2, and 3. So we've got those opportunities. Basic things like cutting of trees between Marseille and Maseru. These are opportunities that are coming up. Maybe they're already there on the website. Supply of hydrocarbons, that's diesel. I think it assists in the cleanup or rehabilitation as well as disposal and disposal of contaminated absorbent materials, cleaning of cuttings, cleaning of culverts, list of earth-moving equipment. The list goes on. I think the mayor wouldn't want me to go through each and everything, but we are open for business. We are open to assist the public. Not everything is highly technical stuff. I know that sometimes we've got tenders that are so huge to the value of close to 50 billion, like maybe a tender to assist in the berth deepening at the Port of Durban, or maybe berth deepening at the Port of East London. I'm not saying you can't respond to that, but you need to ensure that you really have those billions to be able to adequately respond to that opportunity. But there are these opportunities. So in this area, you can go to the next slide. In Free State, the key operating divisions that are visible and operational in our area here is Transnet Freight Rail as well as Transnet Engineering. Freight Rail being the operator of the rail infrastructure, then the engineering providing the technical support or maintenance. So those opportunities that you see there are from the engineering division. So there are lots of opportunities, colleagues. Let's stop complaining. We have the opportunities, they're out there for you. I can assure you, respond adequately, you'll be able to learn something. But most importantly, Executive Mayor, I would like to say, part of my brief for coming here, over and above sharing these investments that can help the ordinary man on the street, is to also say we have also came here to understand your economic plans as a municipality. When we understand those economic plans, like yesterday I listened very attentively as well as today when the MEC was talking that, the issue of the R30, is it R30, the special economic zone, is something that is really going at an accelerated pace. And certainly I want to believe that Transnet can actually input into an opportunity of that nature. So we want to understand, take that understanding. I'll then ensure that when I go back to the organization, I'm able to match and follow up with subject matter experts. So like I said, we're a big organization. So the opportunities that are in the gas, oil and gas, we've got pipelines that are able to address those kind of opportunities. Rail infrastructure, where rail infrastructure is required, I cannot say to you right now that we are going to be able to do 1, 2, and 3, but I can ensure that the correct people from the project planning unit in the rail infrastructure do participate in the planning meetings or feasibility studies or whatever it is that is required by the municipality. I can't talk about post terminals as yet, but it's not always about operating ports at the port. We've got what are called dry ports that are actually, we've got terminals that are inland. So you can actually even have a terminal within Matjhabeng if the economy allows for that or makes that particular provision. I know that there are a couple of millionaires sitting here. There's also the Blue Train. You're welcome to party. It's only 30, is it 30,000? I can't remember. It's not a lot of money. Colleagues can enjoy that from Transnet as well and take your families to Cape Town. So yes, no, we are going to assist. We are here. I am here. I will be part of you. I'm not going to drop the ball. I will ensure that the right people do participate at the right opportunities and give the correct expertise. And yes, they are the tenders for you and RFQs. Otherwise, on that note, I want to thank you for the opportunity, for just being here to listen to this. And one thing I want to say, Honorable Mayor, I've been to different municipalities around the country. There is something very special that I felt when I walked into this session. It's maybe one of the few sessions where I've seen a municipality that has thoroughly done their research. They really understand that, they want to diversify the economy. They understand that, depending on the mines, it's a great product, but at some point it may also then reach a certain life cycle that may, require other types of, economic diversification. So you've done your research. Very interesting. It's very easy to come and plug in our expertise as well as an interested party to assist. And really, I want to thank you for that. In some municipalities, one of the biggest challenges we have is that, you're only asked to say, please come and present your investments. And you fumble because you really don't know that what do they want from us? Where can we assist? We are interested, but now this is just a broad discussion, but here it's quite specific. There's an SEZ, gas has been discovered. There are specific opportunities where you can really then start somewhere and be able to provide that assistance. So thank you for doing your groundwork, Executive Mayor and your team. I thank you.
Thank you, Love More, and your name says it, we love you. Thank you very much for giving us support, and I think one of the things, Executive Mayor, that we've identified with a number of SEZ is that people plan the SEZ to attract investment, but what they don't know is that transport is key in any SEZ for the movement of people and the movement of goods, and therefore we will be looking forward to engaging with you, Mr. Lovemore, around the movement of goods in those SEZ. So transport plans are important in terms of that. Without wasting much more time, I want to give an opportunity to Mr. Mabuza from Infrastructure SA to give us a presentation.
Morning. Thank you very much, Chair, for the opportunity. Let me acknowledge the MEC, the Executive Mayor. I also see the MM is here, and all the councillors as well. My name is Charles Mabuza. I'm from Infrastructure South Africa. So Infrastructure South Africa is an agency that reports to the Minister of Public Works and Infrastructure, Minister Zigalala. At the moment, and we're mandated in line with the Infrastructure Development Act of South Africa. Then we mainly set up to coordinate the deployment of infrastructure in the country. So I'm going to take you through a presentation. It's a couple of slides that I'm going to speak to. If we could go to the next one, the outline, I'm going to speak to the mandate of ISA, who ISA is. I'm going to speak to key indicators relating to infrastructure, infrastructure projects appraisal methodology, some of the tools that we use when we evaluate projects for funding purposes. And I'm happy again that I'm speaking after the MEC. The MEC spoke to some of the critical elements of packaging a project for it to be funded. Then I'll speak to the summary of the Free State project pipeline, then zoom into the work we're doing with Matjhabeng around, their projects and how we're packaging them and where we are at the moment. So Infrastructure South Africa was set up to actually accelerate the pace and quality of infrastructure investment in South Africa. That's the mandate. There's a number of elements, critical elements that we look at. Firstly, we were established to close the infrastructure investment gap that exists in the country. And in the main, we need to coordinate and facilitate the achievement of the targets as set up in the National Development Plan of 30% of GDP by 2030 but we also have the National Infrastructure Plan as well that has targets. So that's the first thing. We need to close the infrastructure investment gap that is there in the Free State and in Matjhabeng. We are also set up to design and maintain a national portfolio of priority and quality projects. We need to make sure that projects are well designed, they are well packaged, and they are fundable. Like I said, the MEC spoke to some of the elements. So our responsibility as Infrastructure South Africa is project preparation and packaging. So we package the project, we prepare the project such that when we take it for funding to funding agencies and some of the stakeholders we work with, they are able to fund it. The project then becomes bankable. So we're looking at bankable pipelines, and that's what the MEC spoke to as well. Thirdly, we are set up to leverage funding and financing from public and private sector. The MEC spoke about one of the aspects of it, which is the PPP. So we need to look at innovative funding mechanisms, considering that the fiscus, funding is dwindling. There's not enough money, for government to now dish out or support project sponsors. So we're looking at innovative funding mechanisms. We're also looking at blended finance tools and government contribution, because government also comes in when it comes to funding infrastructure, and I'll speak to that when I zoom into the Matjhabeng projects. We also set up to ensure that there's effective institutional implementation capacity. So what we do here, we also build capacity for departments, municipalities, and we call them project sponsors from our side, to be able to give us proposals that at least are almost there, and what we then do is tweak them, add value and ensure that the proposal is fundable. We have a model or methodology that we're using when we evaluate projects, and I'll speak to that. But we also have training workshops on the 5-case model that we usually apply when we evaluate projects. I'll speak to that later. The second last one is development impact. We're not implementing or deploying infrastructure for the sake of infrastructure, but there must be impact. And at the end of the day, there must be inclusive economic growth, there must be job creation, and also closing the spatial disparities that are there, including issues of sustainability. The last one is ensuring that in the deployment of infrastructure, the sustainability, we still protect the environment that we live in. And on your right, the right, you'll see all the units that are there, or business units that are with Infrastructure South Africa responsible for this work. There's one called the Infrastructure Investment Planning and Oversight. That's where I come from. I'm responsible for the National Infrastructure Plan, but I also lead for the Free State. I'm the lead for the Free State as well as Mpumalanga. There's a unit responsible for infrastructure project pipeline development. I spoke about the packaging of projects. There's a unit called infrastructure funding and financing. This is the one that looks for funding. This is the one that looks for, like I spoke about, innovative funding. How do we close the funding gaps that are there? There's one that's responsible for state asset optimization. We have a lot of buildings that are owned by government that are lying there, they are not being utilized. This unit comes in and say, what can we do with these buildings? How can we refurbish them and further ensure that we utilize them effectively as government? There's a center of excellence that do a lot of research and analysis, and lastly, technical support services. So that's who ISA is, and that's what we are responsible for as Infrastructure South Africa. Just to mention that this agency was headed by Dr. Ramogopa before he was then, appointed Minister of Electricity. I'm speaking now to the key indicators for infrastructure. This slide mainly demonstrates ukuthi infrastructure can assist us to grow the economy, but can also assist us to, create jobs and stuff like that. If you look at the trend there, you can see that where infrastructure goes up, GDP goes up, and then there's also jobs that are created. So I'm not going to waste a lot of time on it. The target in the NDP is that we need to ensure that our investment in infrastructure is around 30% of our gross, of our GDP. Next slide. This slide in the main is to show you the level of infrastructure investment in the Free State. The green areas tells you that the darker areas, green dark, tells you that these districts at least have infrastructure, have invested a lot on infrastructure, and we use an indicator called the gross fixed capital formation, the GFC. Now, Thabo Mofokeng has the lowest among the district when it comes to infrastructure deployment, but it is the second highest in terms of population when you look at the map. And that's the area, the yellow area there. So there's a lot of efforts that we need to put to ensure that there's deployment of infrastructure in that district. Lijoleputsa has the highest gross fixed capital formation and has the third highest population as well in the province. And then we have Mangaung Metro, and like I said, the ones with the high GCFC are the ones that are green. And Mangaung Metro has the highest population, but has the third GFCF per capita, the gross fixed capital formation, as I said, after Fezile Dabi. So it was just to give you a picture of the level of infrastructure investment in the province. Now I'm speaking on the methodology that we use to evaluate projects for funding, which, like I said, links exactly with what the MEC was speaking to. So a project firstly needs to be strategically necessary. It must be a project that is strategic and it is necessary for the municipality or the province. So that's the strategic case. That's the first one, the light blue there. The project must be economically and socially viable. Like I said earlier, we're not deploying projects for the sake of deploying them. We want to develop our economies. We want to ensure that there's a social impact. You know, the beneficiaries see the value of some of the interventions we're putting in. A project must also be commercially viable. It must be financially, it must be affordable as well. So sometimes when we package projects, we don't apply ourselves in the sense that when somebody looks at it, can see that the figures that are there speak to what needs to be done here, and hence the importance of a project being affordable. You can't be deploying a 1 kilometer, let's say 1 kilometer of infrastructure, road infrastructure, and then you cost it at maybe 5 billion. That's not making sense. So we need to apply ourselves, and hence the MEC spoke to some of the transactional advisors that needs to be brought on board to assist the process. But also there's the management case. The management case speaks to the people who are responsible for the project. If we require engineers, are the engineers there? Is it civil? Is it what kind of engineers? Do we need people with financial skills and those kind of things? So we look at the management case as well. Like I said, the people who will be responsible for the project. So this is an international model that is used. It's not just a model that we came up with ourselves. I'm now zooming into the Free State project pipeline before I come to Matjhabeng. So in the Free State, we have a pipeline that is more than, I think, 60 or 70 projects. But what I've done here was to pick up 25 and do a quick analysis of the 25 active projects that we're working on. We have 12 projects that are in the road sector. They include 2 projects from Matjhabeng. and I'll speak to them later. We have water and sanitation projects, 5 of them out of the 25. We have human settlements projects. We have social projects, mainly in the health sector, which is 2, but we also have 2 private sector energy projects. One of them is the one that was presented here yesterday, colleagues. The total value of the Free State infrastructure project pipeline is 171 billion. So not all the projects are active because, as the MEC said, there's elements that are crucial to it. There's information that we need, that we require from project sponsors to be able to package them. So some of them are not yet there. Hence, you see the total value is 171. And like I said, the pipeline is more than 100 projects that are there. So the biggest, in terms of number, we have roads at 48%, followed by water and sanitation, which is around 20%. And then we've got human settlement, social, as well as like the private sector projects that I spoke to earlier. Now here, this is Matjhabeng. In Matjhabeng, we have 2 projects that have been submitted for consideration by Infrastructure South Africa. The first project is a water and sanitation project. And Executive Mayor, I've seen the challenge of water. I slept over here and I've seen it. You know, and this project in the main is to replace old asbestos cement and galvanized steel pipes. There's a lot of water that is lost, you know, along the way, estimated at around 60%. And this has an impact on the sustainability of the, you know, the municipality, and financially and otherwise. The project value is around 1.6 billion, 1.556, it's 1.6 billion. So Executive Mayor, I can give you the comfort that this project has now been packaged. We're going to be submitting it for consideration for BFI, which is the Budget Facility for Infrastructure, Window 7. It opened 2 weeks ago. It will close on the 14th. So this one is done. Now, then we have the second project, which is the repair and resale of the tarred roads. The value of the project is 12.5 billion. We're working currently with the MM and some of your director for infrastructure to close the gaps on this project. The plan as well is to submit it for BFI before it closes on the 14th of July. Actually, our target is before end of June. And then the value of the next one, project 3, is the upgrade of gravel roads to pave the roads. The project value is 4.7 billion. The status is the same. I'm working with Mpho and the colleagues as well. Thabo and some of the colleagues, Monzalo, to close some of the gaps. The timelines are the same as well. We want to ensure that we submit all these projects for BFI now, Executive Mayor. And I'm hoping that some of the municipalities are still here. Our threshold for the submission of projects is 1 billion for a project, but if it's a program, it's 3 billion. So sometimes we get a municipality, and give an example of Nala. Nala has submitted a package of projects. It's like smaller nyana projects, you know, 300, 400, and they're coming from different sectors. The MEC spoke about transactional advisors. So some of the transactional advisors and experts they don't know all the sectors. Now, when you have smaller nyana projects that needs to be evaluated, assessed, and analyzed, and when the cost of the project itself costs 300, let's say 300 million, but the transactional advisor would want to be paid a lot of money as well. It doesn't make sense. So what we request is that districts packages all the projects into one and make them a program. So we work on it, projects from the district as a program, whether it's 4 billion or 5 billion, then we are able to work on them and ensure that they are prepared and submitted for consideration and funding purposes. And thank you very much, Chair.
Thank you very much, Mr. Mabuza. Executive Mayor, I think today government is setting the pace in terms of pledges. And I'm told that in order to confirm that the National Council of Provinces have specifically deployed or sent us Mr. Seiso Mohai to basically lead the pledges from government. So we are honored to have you, Mr. Mohai, to lead this from the top, not from the bottom. Thank you very much. Thank you very much for blessing our summit with your presence and for coming forward to sign some pledges on behalf of government. Thank you. Yeah, I think, Chair, what I'm going to do is to just give just 15 minutes a period just for people to pose 1 or 2 questions to the panel that we have here. I'll take 2 for each of those, and then I think 2 questions, and then we can be able to close this one. But I think from the program that we've had, as I'm saying, that we've really got some food for thought. We've got pledges. I mean, I think in the next few months, we will be singing a different song, Executive Mayor, taking into consideration the billions of rand that ISA is basically pledging for Matjhabeng. Thank you very much. So I think I'll take 6 questions, 2, and then we can basically sort of ask the panel some 1 or 2 questions if there are. Any questions on the presentations from the panel? Going 1, going 2. Okay, I think there's a hand there. Okay, no, just wait, let me just point the hands first. I think there's another hand at the back. I think there's another hand here. I think there's another hand. Can I take these 4 hands first? I'll ask 2 people to ask the questions, and then we can sort of respond to them. Sir, you will be the first one to ask. Yes, sir. Can people just introduce themselves and from which organization, and then ask questions?
Good morning, Chair. My name is Bizana Ngesi, Zugabalwe Foundation.
I can't hear you. I can't hear you. I can't hear you. Can you speak louder, please?
My name is Bizana Ngesi, Zugabalwe Foundation.
Thank you very much.
I just want to ask a question, but also make a comment. The first comment is, I welcome the presentations that have been made, but I think part of the key in what has been presented here is inclusivity. And I hope the organizers, as we move away from here, the whole issue of getting everybody involved becomes key. You see, part of these projects, they become a source of conflict in communities when they are done behind closed doors. There are people who know about this. Let's have a transparent, inclusive process so that people can decide whether they want to participate or not. But the second point, Chair, will be a question around your master plans. I wanted to ask this question yesterday. Do we have a process of putting master plans for municipalities and for the district? Because if you don't have these master plans, for infrastructure as an example, then it becomes a problem in terms of moving forward. You can have all these plans, but if you don't have your key master plans around different sectors of the infrastructure, it becomes a problem. Thank you.
Thank you. Next question.
Good day, ma'am. How are you, MEC? Good day, ma'am. It's okay. Yes. Ma'am, the PPE are an excellent opportunities to unlock a lot of opportunities that now are available to us. For instance, I'll give you a scenario where you find that our compatriots, like the formal business, is a little bit despondent now in terms of working with the government because they feel that now things are not working well and all that. It means that now it's an opportunity for guys to say, what are you wanting to do? And then how can we come on board and then unlock that one now to the municipality? Like for instance, if We know that now they are transporting something now to Durban, and they need to use the rail, and then Transnet is telling us about the slots that now are being activated, and then we can start to think of that, to say how can we unlock this. The second one can be the one where we know in town is where everybody is doing business, but things are so bad. Infrastructure is so collapsing, and business wants to pay the rate, but they are saying, we're paying for what? Then I can come with the pipe project here in Velcom and saying, can we sign the servitude on those pipelines that now we want to do a PPE project, but it must not involve the municipality much because there's too much issues at the municipality level because the rates are coming in are not enough now to pay, to do more projects. So meaning we can have a PPE where I've got a pipeline, a pipe project here. I engage the TVET college. Now they start to go into resins, a technology. Then we start to do the pipes for the business here because they'll pay now when they know there's water coming, there's a sewer going out. But as a middle investor, I want to be sure that now the municipality won't come and just say, we're taking the step up. So Treasury can come and say, these are the servitude that now we are signing now that now for the next 20 years, these guys can have the part of the rate paid on these pipes because they have come on board now to invest in those one. The other one that is talks mostly to you is I'm having 5,000 people who can afford a medical aid, but they are in an informal sector. I want to give them a better medical facility. So meaning I want to talk to Bongani to say, can I get a ward where now I can build my own staff in that ward, put my own beds, but I can share now with you your specialized parts, like your theater parts. But now, these guys, when they are sick, they'll go straight there to my facility, where I'm having my own doctors and everything to take care of them, but they can only use the part of the hospital for only specialized services. Remember, these guys are not affording medical aid. They still have to rely for government. But I'm taking off now that burden from you, that now, this is the guys that now I can work off. I can even work on them on the genome sequencing to understand now their DNA. When can they get sick? And then I can even start to sell that to you, to say, this is what I can sell to you. Ma'am, please, I'm happy that you talk about this stuff today. Just get us the relevant people in your department who can talk to, because I cannot talk to you every time. Whenever I'm having an issue, you are too busy, I know. So at least I can get somebody who we can work with, work 3 months. We build a concept, and then when we come to you now, it's at a stage where it's developed. Then you don't have to always, when you see me now, you like, yeah, there come that one now. Because now, there's no capacity, ma'am, at the local level. And it's very nice to put our people in jobs, to transform, but if it takes the capacity, it's like now, that bean that is having holes, one day it will start now to have nothing inside. And now it hits me also. I'm happy this transformation, but it's not working for me now because I can't go to a municipality and say to them, guys, here's something that I want to talk to you. It really doesn't work for us. So please, as Treasury, enhance that capacity, even if it has to be here. I don't want to do tenders. I want to come and say, here's a solution that I can do. I want to bridge the gap. I want to go to white people. I say to them, hey guys, tell me what you need. I can go there and help you with that. That's where we make money as entrepreneurs. So we can't be doing it when there's no capacity at all now. You go now to somewhere, I don't want to say municipality. You just go somewhere, you say, here's an idea I want to work on with someone else. It really doesn't work because you can't even have a window opening to say what, where, who, and why. So at least just put capacity at the local level. I don't have to call you. I don't have to go to Bloemfontein. I don't have to follow you where you are. I know I can be able to be assisted where I am. That's how it must work.
Oh, okay.
May I address that issue? Kimang dati nombeti ne? Sipo. I want to address this issue because I want us to. I don't want it to spiral in the next questions. I want us to fix the perception. You can see there's change in Matjhabeng, right? You can see, you can feel it. And I want us to just talk about the structures that we're going to be putting in place through the Executive Mayor's Office to make sure that we can do these things. But I want to raise two things. You are right. Business should be at a point that it doesn't need government, because government provides a conducive environment for business to thrive. We have a component which is our goods and services, our supply chain, the funding or the money that taxpayers put into a pool to ensure service delivery, but that is our component. The private sector has to make sure that the economy churns. And you are right, if you find that there are opportunities with the TVET, with a private sector company that you could partner with, it's still to the benefit of government, because we will be receiving tax services. We will find that our revenue will increase, more people will have jobs, more people will pay tax in your municipality. So I agree with your position 100%. There are processes in that. And if everybody can have their processes in order, we've got EIAs. So the issue of servitudes and where the municipality will come in and overcharge you for utilizing a certain portion of their land, whatever it may be, it is regulated. And I think Treasury forms part of a committee that deals with tariff settings, with NERSA issues, with servitudes, and some of the policy requirements on the utilization of land and other areas. So environmental affairs, provincial treasury, the municipality, the CFOs, they do have a regulatory aspect. And then the other thing is your idea, part of the hospital, part of a government building. This is what we're advocating. Public Works is here. They will tell you that our buildings, we could generate some revenue on our buildings. If I could have a private canteen in every building of government where this individual who is making coffee tea, you see, I went to go buy coffee from Vida Cafe at a Shell garage or some garage. But if it's in our offices, I grab a biscuit, my coffee, and I go into my office, and that person pays a certain rental amount to Public Works, and that generates income. And that person also has got a job. That person also is an entrepreneur. They can create a pricing strategy, they can make some profits, and that is the type of partnerships, not at this big level that I'm talking about, or that we all spoke about. There are other opportunities. You could use a hospital as an example, and you could do your insurance, but you rent that space from the hospital. And that's how government should partner with private sector. And we don't necessarily need tenders. You're absolutely correct. And this is where there is a lot of opportunity. The partnerships with government and institutions, including TVETs, the opportunity is there, ladies and gentlemen. We're just not utilizing it. But I wanted to rebut any other conversation that says that the municipality is going to intervene, the municipality is not going to help, the capacity. This mayor has brought capacity. Where's the young gentleman that's appointed in his office? The gentleman with 2 degrees from China. Please come forward. Please come forward. The CFO is in one of my meetings in the audit. Majoro, who else? MMC, he was here. MMC of Finance. MMC of LED, please come forward. Askis that I'm asking you to come, but please, I just want to introduce you to all these people here. Everybody knows the mayor. Who else, Majoro, would you like me to call forward? Because I want to show the capacity that we have in your municipality. Who else would you like? The mayor's team, please come forward. So, how many degrees do you have? Come tell us here.
Thank you, MEC. I have a degree from China in international trade and economics. I did a master's degree in economics and specializing in finance in China as well. I'm currently doing Masters of Project in Construction Management with Wits University currently.
I'm telling you, there is capacity. The mayor is leading this team. The MMC, where's MMC of Finance? Where's the MM, the CFO? That, if you can, MMC is leading LED. Everything that you are requesting in terms of those partnerships in the local economic development, these are some of the people that you're going to use. You cannot rely on provincial government. And yes, I might seem busy, I'll make time for you, but you cannot expect that one person is going to be able to fix everything. We have to build structures across the province to make our province work. Ndate.
Good morning, everyone. Morning. Yes. I have master's degree in economics and PhD in public management.
Capacity, right? Come, and then I'll have the MMC introduce himself. You don't have to, you'll just tell them what to do.
No, thank you very much, MEC, for Finance. Colleagues, good morning. My name is Themba Mnisi. I've also joined Matjhabeng, I think last year in November. I hold a 4-year degree in urban and regional planning. MEC, I just want to indicate to say I've worked for various municipalities, from local government, the province, district, and everywhere. I think ranging around to more than 6, if I'm not mistaken. Then I brought the experience here. Hence you see all the summit that is happening here. Thank you very much.
So your permits, your servitudes, the local, economic, rural enterprises, MMC LED, I was hoping MMC Finance was also here. There's the executive, the mayor of Lejuliputsa. But when MMC Finance is here, I'm also going to ask him to come up on the stage. And other MMCs.
Good morning, everyone. Well, I'm a politician. I can't really compete with the speakers that are here. So, safe to say that I've been in politics for long enough to surpass this track record. I will post it.
So I'm going to challenge him because I'm also a politician. I'm busy with my master's degree with Hindi International Business School, so we're going to compete to have our PhD some point. But colleagues, thank you, leadership. The mayor has made changes. Thank you very, very much, gentlemen. There must be more ladies here and that. We must call on where's the lady MMCs? Yeah, they're here. MMC stand, all ladies MMC stand, all the MMC stand. If you don't mind, thank you very much, leadership. MMC Finance, please come greet and show everybody who you are. I've just had all the other MMC stand. MMC Finance, please. Please come greet everybody.
Morning, Executive Mayor, MEC, colleagues, business investors. My name is Hluwa Mokhomu. Given the responsibility of looking after the purse of the municipality, just playing an oversight, not getting into the purse itself. So with the support of MEC and National Treasury and the Executive Mayor, we are here as Matjhabeng, Team Matjhabeng. I thank you.
So, Executive Mayor, thank you. Executive Mayor has appointed a new he's appointed a new CFO. So there are changes, colleagues. Now, what we're going to do going forward is we're going to rebut what used to happen. And we're going to find ways of doing things differently and making it happen. And if we're seeing that we're coming back into cycle where it's still spinning the same way it was spinning in the past, then come to me. But allow this leadership to present themselves and to showcase what they are capable of. And that is all I'm asking. Kia leboa. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, MEC. I think what you've just done, MEC, is a demonstration that the mayor is not working alone. That the provincial government and the local government are working together, because when the MEC for Finance was introducing, he was even introducing staff within the office of the mayor, which means there's a real cooperation between provincial and local government. Thank you very much, MEC, for doing that. And the confidence you've shown in the staff that has been appointed tells us a number of stories that there is a difference that is taking place in this municipality. I think we were having two people just to ask questions. Are you there?
Thank you and good morning to everybody. Mr. Mayor, thank you for this opportunity. To those who don't know me, my name is Letlokhonolo Tiaole. I have a consulting company called CMC. We deal with analytics and strategy, and I have a long span of experience in business, imports, exports, trade, acquisitions and stuff like that. So I'm very excited to be here. And the MEC partly answered my first question, because we've had, I believe, an economic endeavor in the previous year, around September, October. And one of the challenges and recommendations that was made was that we need to have a dedicated, office, at the municipality to deal with red tape, implementation issues, because it's easy to talk about it and say we have the people are there, which is good, but are there processes that have been streamlined to make sure that there's, a free flow of, investors coming in and everything happening swiftly. So that's number one. And then number two was another question that was posted by the gentleman, Mr. Bizana, about implementation for inclusion of the public, because we are talking about billions and billions of rents here. And one of any country's best assets, it's not like it's minerals or anything else like that. Otherwise, Africa would be the richest continent on the planet. What we need to focus on is human capital strategies. What are we doing to ensure that all these projects that we are talking about are going to be headed by the people that have the vision and the mindset of inclusion and not, segregation, because these are challenges that are there that we need to address, and they are not going to be just done overnight or over a period of this. That's my second question, to say, all these departments that are here, what are they doing to ensure, like Transnet's involvement? Are they doing any public participation to make the communities to be aware of what they are doing here in Matjhabeng? And with ISA, are they doing the same? This is very, very important because not everybody who's attending here are all the people of Matjhabeng. We are talking about more than 500,000 people that have got skills, capacity, you know, and innovation. And then the last question that I have is incentive packages. I'm talking to the MEC for finance with regards to normally like when we would do international searching for investors, we would always have like what we call sovereign guarantees to say what are we giving, you know, our foreign investors a guarantee to say if you're bringing your money here, your money will be safe. Are there any sort of sovereign guarantees that the MEC has in terms of foreign investment? Thank you so much.
Thank you, sir. Yes, ma'am. Yes, ma'am. You. There's a mic here.
Thank you, Program Director. My name is Murakani Mutekhe. I am the Executive Director responsible for human settlements and planning in the local municipality of Matjhabeng. Let me appreciate the presentations that are made, but without any waste of time, zoom directly to my questions of interest. And the first one would be a remark from the presentation by Honorable MEC. When she spoke about triple Ps, most of us will be knowing that we come along with triple Ps, with its challenges and successes, but my remark is this aspect that is a core element of type of triple P, where we say we're looking for a private company or partner for skill transfer, risk transfer. I've got a problem with that connotation. I wish we could say risk management or risk mitigation. I can imagine myself as a private person and having to take the risk. That one is just a comment. But zooming to the role that is played by Transnet, I am more interested in the properties that are owned by property, especially land and buildings. The municipality being in a process of trying to address abandoned buildings in our space as a source of income and to enhance revenue generation. I would like us to embark on discussions on your audit of your property possessions so that we know what you have so that we can utilize it better for the enhancement and upliftment of the community in other areas of life, be it social or economic. But we lack that element where properties belonging to Transnet because they are there, but even other state organs like your Sanral and whatnot. And along the R30 focus of area of investment, it might happen that they've got farms alongside that that needs to be transferred either to them or to ourselves, so the ownership is clearly known for income generation purposes. And then when coming to Infra South Africa, I'm excited to know about the involvement in infrastructural projects. But zooming to Matjhabeng per se, I heard the presenter citing a human settlement project in the Free State. My question is, how would you be involved if we want to package a social housing project, for instance, because we are on the intention to move away from your normal BNG on RDP in the context really of improving lives for more housing typologies. So would like to be assisted in project packaging that will make SHRA willing to invest in our area. So they cited their involvement in Free State. Can that be extended to Matjhabeng as well? And lastly, I heard Ntate Lovemore talking especially in the role of their like the tendering processes. I would like to hear more about the social and economic investment. Not everyone wants to do tenders, but what is it that we can do to empower our normal NGOs and NPOs? What are their strategies in that regard? What is their involvement in the CSI programs apart from being in the normal tendering processes? And I thank you.
Thank you, ma'am. I think we will give our panel just a few minutes to answer those questions, short and precise. And then thereafter, we'll take just a 5 minutes break before we move to the next one. Can we start with Mr. Lovemore?
Okay. Hello, can you hear me? Can you hear me, colleagues? Okay. All right. Thank you so much for the comments on properties. We've got a regional manager of properties. His name is Kabelo. I'm going to engage him on your questions around the audit of properties. But what I know, the little that I know about properties is that there is a PSP strategy on properties that is in progress. There's an evaluation process as well they're busy with. And I don't know, I can't confirm at what stage it is at, but it does then speak to the land use, commercial use, or any other uses that will benefit the community. So I'm going to reroute that question to him and ensure that he does come back to you with a comprehensive and precise response or actions that will follow up that can address that element. Then with regards to the tendering, yes, tenders is something that we do. We want the community to be aware that there are opportunities they can tap into. So that is an element that at each and every engagement, we try to make people aware that, over and above the work that we do for the country, there are opportunities. In terms of our involvement in social and economic involvement, CSI programs, we've got Transnet Foundation. I'm going to engage them to try and understand where their investments are located within Free State. But there is a foundation that you can also approach directly for any assistance in that space. And they do an assessment of the request, and they'll then be able to give an appropriate answer in that space. Economic involvement, I've alluded to the fact that one of my key reasons for being here was really to come and understand the economic plans of the municipality. I have noted certain opportunities. I've engaged the LED director. I've requested that we get at least maybe half a pager, helicopter view of the projects that require assistance, like for example, the R30 special economic zone, the gas project that you're busy with, so that I can then match with the subject matter experts within Transnet who can then appropriately respond. Bearing in mind that a lot of these projects are of a capital nature, there are still processes that need to be followed. Some could be at a planning phase, others at different phases. So we need to ensure that when we do offer our assistance, we engage at an appropriate level of the project. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much. I'm going to zoom into the human settlement question. And thank you very much, Mamute, for the question. Yes, we can come in and assist you with the packaging of the project. We actually have a human settlement specialist, a sector lead within ESA. And what we can do when I get back there maybe is to share with you some of the documents that you may need to complete to start the process. But as the MEC said earlier, there's issues of feasibility that we need to take into consideration. There's a whole host of things that we need to look at. I mean, for the water and sanitation project, there was a thorough feasibility that was undertaken by the municipalities as well. But we can assist the process. Thank you.
Podium, you're not going to see me, so because I am short. All right, so there's still 3 outstanding questions. The one, Ms. Ngesi, thank you very much for your comments around the issue of acknowledging that this process has been transparent and inclusive. And I like the idea, Mayor, of inclusivity. But I also want to talk a little bit about inclusivity and the planning process. So as much as we think government hides behind something, we do have a process of IDPs, and that process of IDPs, Executive Mayor, has got a public participation process. And these projects that you're seeing here today is not projects that we've conjured up as government by ourselves. It comes from the community. So the IDP process and the budget planning process is derived from the community. So your MMCs and the council has got constituencies, they bring that to the fore in a council. It goes through public participation process. It comes to council for adoption. And once the council adopts this process, it then has to derive a budget. And then the budget then gets adopted through a budget process and a budget speech. So inclusivity is critical in government and specifically for planning. So I would want to request that go onto Matjhabeng's website, go onto IDPs, go onto the district model. There's a one model, one plan for the entire district. Projects are there, processes are there, and you'll be able to see all of this. Maybe not to this detail, but you'll be able to see all of the catalytic projects and other projects and programs of the municipality at a district level and a local level. You'd be able to find them there. So thank you very much for acknowledging that. And part of that means that master plans have to be produced. If you're going to a sector such as human settlement, if you're doing a spatial development plan, a master plan to the sector has to be produced before the sector is able to fund it and before the sector is able to say, go ahead and deal with that spatial development plan. The example of an SEZ, the SEZ is also going to have to go through public participation, and it is the communities and it is the public that will provide, approval prior to it coming to council and prior to going to cabinet. It has to come from you first. So know that transparency is the name of the game when it comes to the public sector. On the issue of the sovereign guarantees, yes, we do. There is a process. So first and foremost, when National Treasury or a government specifically has ideas and norms and standards for guarantees, we look at the following. So we look at the macroeconomic environment. We also look at the current status of the economy. We also deal with some of the nuances that is specific to sectors and priority sectors that are also part of master plans with the DTIC and other entities at a national level. And then we look at variables, the cash flow, our debt to GDP, our debt as a country, and then our sovereign ratings, which is normally produced through various ratings agencies. And then we also look at the comparison between peers. But largely, we look at the aggregate supply and demand within the economy, especially in the trade environment. We also look at the trade balances and the external debt and debt services, like I've mentioned, as well as few ratios. And once we've been able to see the gross borrowing power, what we can leverage off an asset base as a national government, we then can produce sovereign guarantees against certain instruments that we have. Could be various backed type of entities, such as the green economy, such as our infrastructure, such as PIC, investment funding and others, and maybe bonds and other type of instruments. And the banks then will translate that based on your weight. They also look at what type of work you can do and the inflows and the outflows in terms of the contract. And then the banks will provide you with an LC, which is a letter of credit, an SPLC. They also look at various other type of instruments that is able to allow for cashback guarantees to happen at a government level. We're seeing it a lot in the renewable energy space now. And as a government, we are producing guarantees, and we're also calling for guarantees specifically for investment in the renewable energy space. On incentives, and that's the last question that I think we hadn't answered. Please forgive me if I didn't answer, or the panel didn't answer any other question. On incentives, we find and we call, and I believe that this municipality is working on, being competitive in nature in terms of investing in this municipality by saying that, what is the cost of services, rates and taxes, the ability to lease land, and other instruments that can create this incentive environment, tax issues. And it all comes through to provincial treasury, it goes through to national treasury. We deal on a consensus matter together with the municipality when we deal with tariff settings. And that then becomes the sweetener for an investor to come and invest into this municipality. And I believe with this team that we introduced you to today, and the mayor and his greater team, there will be, together with the special economic zone that is still to be finalized, even in an IDZ form, there will be a packaged incentive program that the mayor would, over the next couple of months, be able to provide to the constituencies and the industry business that is willing to invest into this municipality. So there is a process, and it's a continuous process, and I'm sure that ultimately business wants to make profit, and we're wanting to see how likely it is that we could have that conversation in order to say, I'd rather invest in this municipality and work my way towards providing my product across the country, being central here with a better investment rate. So that is the answers, if I have not forgotten anything. Thank you once again, Executive Mayor, for being able to support this beautiful event.
Tenders. And then they then drop the ball than focusing on our vision and focusing on what we are trying to fix. in our municipality. As an example, and I was telling the mayor of the district that some of the questions, they are really disappointing because our vision, as an example, and I thought, Bab Mabuza, there will be a question that how far with the proposal that we engage with the former head of the investment and infrastructure, Professor Ramkhopa, on the new city between Velkom and Odendasres. And how far with that? Which is we can then package, if it has not been registered and there is no plan, we package that. Than focusing on working in silos, which is you are not going to be able to make any impact by doing that. We will be like Nala, and we don't want to be like Nala in terms of what they are packaging. The presentation that was done in one Lekgotla by Professor Ramkhopa, who is now the Minister of Electricity, that for the past 30 years, there have been no effort from our government on the infrastructure investment to some of the rural provinces like the Free State. We have not been benefiting. So provinces which they have been benefiting is the same provinces that benefited even during apartheid, in terms of planning and including the investment, which you will then have your Western Cape, your Gauteng, your KwaZulu-Natal, even not KwaZulu-Natal, in Durban. These are areas which they have been benefiting, and then now you go to Limpopo. So rural province, your Eastern Cape, your Free State, your Northern Cape, they have not been benefiting in the fiscal of our country. Now, these are issues that we need to discuss. And how do we change that narrative to make sure that our government now focus on these small provinces? And then when the Minister of Finance makes some of these budget speech, they can then be focused on the investment to rural provinces like the Free State, which is we can then be confident that we are part of South Africa, given ourselves. But in the manner which is we make our contribution, then this meeting is begin program director there is no different with the meeting that I'm going to attend in the afternoon at 4:30 in Thabongo's community center, where will be like a people's forum. People will be asking about small issues, then talk about big issues which are going to make a huge impact to our people, where there will be projects that can then change the picture of our business, whether in Matjhabeng, whether in Nala, whether in Macedonia, and in any other town, in any other municipality in our district. And this is what we must do, colleagues. We must ask Dr. Mabuza about those issues. Because these are people who are sitting at that level. And these are people who are packaging major projects, which is they can then change the life of our people for the next 3 years. And we don't need to plan about us, about our term, Councillor Jalifa. We don't run government in that way. We put plans, a vision for a short term and a long term. Even when we are no longer in government, those who come after us, they can implement that plan. This is what we want. Can you please, colleagues, when we next time we're invited in some of these meetings, we have that helicopter view, and then we package things at that level. Because most of the time, people we invite in other provinces, they always think that people from the Free State cannot think, and the only thing that we know is to sing than dealing with serious issues. And that will be our approach and our advice, program director. So other issues, when we close the summit, we will talk to those issues. The commitment of our government, the commitment of our private sector, because some of the people who are here to make a commitment, which is some of these commitments are not going to happen tomorrow. The same way when we came, we're given this responsibility in 2021, when we took a decision that we are going to declare this municipality as a disaster, and other people thought we are mad. But when these things are happening now, it's only now that they realize that than focusing on your MIG grant of 130 million, when other people are focusing on billions and trillions, is not going to assist our province and is not going to assist Matjhabeng. So I thought I must just raise those issues. And the last question that I'll ask to Ntate Mabuza, not for me, not for us as a political leadership, just for our people who are part of the summit. What is the what will be when is going to be implemented some of this project? Now they have been packaged, now they have been registered. If Ntate Mabuza can just tell us, we must not be ready for this financial year, we must plan for the next financial year, will be better in that way, because some of the people who are part of this summit are also councillors, and they always ask this critical question to us. And I thought I must ask this question, Ntate Mabuza, on their behalf. Translate, I think issues that have been raised by them, these are big issues in my view, and it's important that we must have that team, that project team that is going to drive some of these big projects. People who have knowledge. MEC, I just spoke to one young man as we're leaving there, going out chair. You know, people of Matjhabeng, they are very talented. And you have many, many people who have skills in this city. Very, very people who are talented, who are very educated. And I spoke to one young man who was saying, no, Mayor, I want to have a one-to-one. I'm working in the Reserve Bank and I'm in economics. And these are people who want to come back, some of them, and contribute to their own city and take their city to the next level. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Executive Mayor, for the question. Firstly, I think on the new city, what we've done was to, send it, engage the office of the MM, so that we populate the information that is required. And maybe what I need to do is to share some of the templates so that it flows. We know the project itself and those kind of things. That's the first thing. On the funding of these two projects, I don't think I can speak to that now. Let me wait until the 14th. After the 14th of July, then I'll tell you. I'll be able to tell yourself and MM when they can kick off. I don't want to put let me not do it now here. Especially as you say that the big one is people want to see work on the ground. I remember the last time I was here on the water issue, you said we want to see dust. Yeah, let me rather hold on it and speak to you after the 14th of July. Thank you very much.
To our panelists, thank you very much for the contributions, and I think we really appreciate every part of it. And I suppose this is not the end, but the beginning of a long-term relationship between Matjhabeng and yourselves in terms of building this municipality. Our next session will be having a panelist as well that is going to give us some few presentations as well, and they will be doing that together. So can I ask that we take a 10 minutes break? It's now 11:31. We come back at 11:40, and then we'll ask all the panelists to come and sit in front and take the process forward. Thank you.
ha ku dumedise mmuhi wa One Free State TV ile ha re kena letsatsing la bobedi ro hasetsa ka otloloa seboka sena sa matsete se tshwaretsweng Kingdom Academy masepaleng wa Matjhabeng toropong ya Welkom me ha ile letsatsing la kajeno ke letsatsi la ho qetela la seboka sena me ke mane mo re boneng ele hore letona la ditjhelete ka kwano ka haro province ya Free State ele mme Khadija Brown o ile a dula moifong o neng o tla arabela dipotso lo hlalosa ka otloloa hore kaho ya boemafofane ba matjhaba ba Welkom bo tlang ho amohela lo tsamaisa moralo ha e tlo etswa ke mmuso wa naha o le mong empa tla boela hape etswa le ke mmuso wa province ya Free State ho kenyeleditse le ditsha tsa kgwebo tsa private mme o la boela hape a hlalosa le ka leano e leng leano lena la triple P mme leano lena la triple P ke lona le hlalosang ka botlalo hore e tla ba mmuso wa province e be masepala e be mmuso wa boemong ba naha tse tlang ho sebetsa mmoho bakeng sa ka aha boemafofane bo ba matjhaba o sa le jwalo letona Khadija Brown o boetse hape a etsa tlhokomediso bo masepala ka mokgwa o ba o sebedisang ho lefa ba phano ya ditshebeletso e leng di-service provider mo a hlalositseng ha hore mokgwa ona tla lokela ko ro fetolwe ka ha ba amohela ditletlebo tse ngata tsa bafani ba ditshebeletso ka mane ka haro kantoro ba bang ba bahlanka ba tsetleileng puo letsatsing la kajeno ke ba kenyeletsang e leng Lavamo Shayinyama e leng ya laolang mabatoa a kenyeletsang la Bloemfontein a Transnet ya hlalositseng ka bokgutswanyana hore menyetla e mengata ya kgwebo ka hare ho Transnet mme e meng ya menyetla eo ha se e hlokang hore motho a ka ba le mangolo a phameng haholo a kgwebo empa ke a menyetla e menyanenyana fela e kenyeletsang ho tsamaiswa ha ditulo le ditafolo a bathepa ya ditimamollo ha mmoho le ho kgaolwa le ho hlokomelwa ha diporo tsa terene athe Charles Mabuza yena o hlamane ho lekala la Afrika Borwa la ntshetsopele le tlhabollo o hlalositse ha ile hore ho hlabollwa le ho kelwa ha marangrang a matjha Afrika Borwa ke tse ding tsa dintlha tsa bohlokwa mme ba ntse ba tswela pele ho tlo thusa le ho tataisa bo masepala ka mosebetsi ona mo mme hopola he mmuhi ntse ro hasetsa ka otlolwa re le sebokeng sena re le One Free State TV the future is now re fumana channel 418 ho star set mme re kopa no dule ntse o shebile ha re ntse ro hlaba malotsana ho fihlella seboka sena se be se fitla pheletso nna ke mahlomola Ramomane ke khutlela diphaposing tsa kgaso.
talk about projects, projects in itself provides opportunities for development. We talked about downstream development or value chain development. So if I may plea that whenever we prepare a project, that we prepare a project identifying also those downstream or value chain opportunities and see how it can advance the economy of Matjhabeng. The second issue that I would like to plea is that we need to look at empowering our people, not individuals. I want to re-emphasize this. We have so many people that are looking with hope, and the Honorable Executive Mayor will meet with them again today in the afternoon. We will have to make sure that we empower broad-based, we empower our people and not individuals. The third issue is, who are those individuals? We can't create an opportunity through this process and then we see the next moment a new entrance from Pakistan is running that business. We must look at those negatively affected by mine closure. We need to know who they are. I propose we have a database of who they are, what their skills are, what their experiences are, so that we can bring them into the process. The focus of this presentation, as you can see there on the screen, is economic sector opportunities for economic diversification. And the plea is that we get out of our box of mining, because we all looked at mining for now 80 years. We need to look beyond mining and focus on a diversified economy, redirect the economy from mining to a diversified economy. And the areas that were identified is agricultural development and sustainable agricultural development, tourism development and the marketing thereof, manufacturing and investment, transport and communication development and investment, real estate opportunities and investment, and then emerging farmer support and market linkages. Can we go to the next slide? Now, I'm just going to give you an appetizer. You can't do agriculture without land. And where is that land? Mostly in the hands of the mining houses at the moment. So we need to interact with mining houses and need to have a database of such land that's redundant and what such land entails. What value is in that land? I would make a big plea. Not long ago, I made a presentation here on a project called Mine Mitigation and Redevelopment, and I emphasized the opportunities that there are for solar energy and the advantages in that. Please, people, we must use land effectively. We sit with some of the highest and best value agricultural land in South Africa, here right in Matjhabeng. We can produce many products here. We can't put solar farms on those. There are land that's suitable for solar farms in our area. Let's analyze the land and allocate what should be used, what should it be used for. I've also, when I was here last time, talked about the whole issue about the mining dumps and successful technology to use mining dumps to develop solar farms on them with all the benefits of growing grass and vegetation under those solar panels, stabilizing those dumps against erosion, utilizing the mining reserve funds to rehabilitate these mine dumps, which is critical for also agriculture, because those mine dumps are full of poison, they are full of uranium. We can't have that stuff in our agricultural fields. The second issue that I want to highlight, which is a critical input, is water. Do we have water for irrigation? Yes, we do. We pump that water away. We have water under pressure that we can put in center pivots and irrigate. The municipality has embarked upon, together with Bloom Water, Water Affairs, on a program to address the sewer problems. Once that is addressed, that water, treated sewer, would be most suitable for agricultural development. Let's put a master plan for that in place. Environment, soil conditions. We need to understand what is the environmental conditions that we have here, our weather, our soil, what can grow effectively here. And here, there is a vast opportunity, and I'm going to mention a few, to do a value chain development from agriculture. Sunflower, South Africa is the biggest producer of sunflower in Africa. Free State is the biggest province for producing sunflower, but we don't have a single sunflower oil processing plant. Once you've produced the oil, you can do ice cream flour, you can do sunflower cake, you can do rama, you can do many things. And around then you can build a tourist industry like the Western Cape has done with wine. Cattle dairy farming. You know, we don't produce 1 liter of milk for our shops in this big Matjhabeng area. Why? We have many many ex-miners who are sitting without work, who has the skills, I have developed a model which I learned from Germany. From a dairy farm, a milk farm, there's so much you can produce. Yogurt, fresh milk, butter, you all know, mahowi, whatever. Why must we import all of this to our own? Our local economy is so big we can sustain this. And then you still have the meat from there. Our people can do sheep, we can do goats. Pecan nuts are being planted by commercial farmers. It's a very easy crop to grow. Zimbabwe used to be the biggest exporter of roses in the world. It lost it. We are talking about the airport, development of the airport. If that is done, we have a direct track to Europe. Bloemfontein is the city of roses. Our climate and soil conditions are exactly the same. It's a very labor-intensive product. Do you want to plant some flowers, madam? I'm from a small town in the Eastern Cape, on the border of the Eastern Cape next to Graafrenet. There's a lady that started to grow flowers there. She has now 5 hectares. She makes a living, a very good living out of 5 hectares of roses. Those roses go as far as Johannesburg and Cape Town, from that small town. Fish farming. Have you ever thought about fish farming? Have you seen how well the fish is in our lakes, which is just polluted? There's a significant opportunity there. It can produce cheap fish for our communities. What is the role of commercial farmers? Farmers' cooperatives in the 1930s were established, and poor white people, poor, were brought into, and today they're successful farmers. We mustn't throw away success stories. We are here every day. Black people can't farm. Look at this bad story and this unsuccessful story. I was involved in establishing 800 small sugarcane grower black farmers, men and women, Nukumas. Where's Honorable Executive Mayor? Ntati, I will take you there. Those 800 farmers are there today, sustainable, making money, having a good livelihood. 3 copies Maguga Dams, I was the program director for the developing of those schemes years ago. We can learn from those type of projects, and they will work here. I was there. I know that. I know this environment well. Emerging farmer support programs. How are we going to do this? There are models. I've just mentioned one. There are more. We can do that. And our people are capable of doing this, willing to do this. Am I right? Our communities people, everybody would, if he can get a piece of land, he will do agriculture. There are models we can do this. We must get the land, plan it, and we select the right people. In that regard, we must also make sure that our young kids can learn agriculture. In townships, we sit with people. What do they study? Do we preparing them for these projects that we're talking about now, today? Do any one of them learn tourism? Warehousing. You know, we go net 40, 50 kilometers. How far is Botawil? We see these big silos. Is there a silo here in this town, this area? You know, we only produce 30 to 40% of our sunflower in South Africa for sunflower oil. The rest we import. If we put sunflower processing plant up, we need to look at storage capacity, warehousing. We're right center in South Africa. Do you know we're the most central city in South Africa? The rail is here. We heard about them today. I didn't see Sunrail. But we have very good rail roads linking the whole of South Africa with ourselves. Telecommunication is here. We have the best position for warehouses. Do we have one big warehouse here? Those of you who travel Johannesburg there around Midrand, have you been there and see what is happening there? Those warehouses looks like the farms, the size of farms. It should be here. We produce the best skins for tan, for leather in the world. There's only one man, he's in PE. We have a lot of people that is from PE. He has the total control of skins. I'm a farmer, I have a farm. I get a rand for a skin. 1 rand is less than a salt cost to dry that skin. He exports those skins. We have the Dorper sheep. You all know the Dorper sheep, the one with the black head? It's the best skin for leather. The tummy is for leather clothes, handbags, the back you can use for many things. The biggest need for that is car seats. You all drive BM, so many of you with leather seats or BM, or Mercedes, etc. That is the leather that are used there. Back-to-back agreement with Mercedes and Toyota, etc. is available to support such a industry. It's no longer a smelly industry. We have the opportunity to establish a tannery here, and imagine if we can have leather here, and we can have a value chain of making shoes, making clothes, making jewelry, making handbags. Director, is this a apple that is not an Eve apple, but an apple that can work? We can involve so many people that can. And imagine we have that. We're going to have tourists coming here. Am I right? People are going to visit us. Our guest houses will be full, etc. We have the support infrastructure. I've mentioned that. This municipality is embarking upon a massive program to give us high quality of these resources. Renewable energy, I talked about that earlier. We can produce more effective, cost-effective renewable energy in this city of Matjhabeng than what the Northern Cape, because of the high loss, because of long distance. Wheeling of the power to the various utilizing points. Markets, we're in the center of the country. Bloemfontein is here. We have Durban. We have Johannesburg, etc. I plead for government to provide the incentive to these small cane farmers that we would like to establish, to give them contracts for 5 or 8 years. The Defense Force, the universities, buy from those people that they can have the incentives and the security at a fixed price. The biggest threat to farming, ask me, I'm in there, is the fluctuation in price. Tomorrow you might get 2 rand, today you get 10 rand. We need to mitigate that risk, and we have that. In the BEE policies, that is provision for that. I talk a lot about agriculture because, yesterday I really looked like a farmer. I am a farmer. Tourism. We talk about Pakisa. Let me say to you, race events in itself is not highly profitable. It's highly costly. What is around Pakisa will bring the money. The opportunity for private car owners to go and drive with their Porsche there at 200 or 300 kilometers an hour. To go there for advanced driver training. We can have a center for advanced driver training for South Africa there. We can use redundant mine infrastructure for accommodation. Not long ago, and there's another mine now closing close by, where even the teaspoons and the spoons were offered. The entire infrastructure for accommodation just needs to be changed. Vehicle testing. I mean, Kailami is closed. Where is Toyota testing their vehicles? Where will Mercedes test their vehicles? We can bring them here. They're willing to invest. And around that, there could be a big tourism development. We had a German investor. The last Grand Prix National in Germany was hosted at the racetrack belonging to him. He wanted to bring German motorbike enthusiasts in the German winter here because they can't drive their motorbikes in Germany. It's too cold in winter. We must think out of the box. Tourism, mining sector. There's Pilgrim's Rest. Can't we duplicate that here? You all know Pilgrim's Rest in Mpumalanga, or is it Limpopo? We have an airport, we have road infrastructure, we have rail infrastructure. Our railway stations, I didn't ask that question, but are not really in a good state to bring tourists here. There used to be a rail station right here next to us, not far from here, remember, in Tabong, where people can come, stop, and we need that again if we want tourists. We can't just have the rail running through here. We have a big shortage of accommodation in this Matjhabeng. We must look at the mining infrastructure that around Matjhabeng is central to South Africa. We should be a conferencing hub. Bloemfontein is promoting it as a conferencing hub. We should be the conferencing hub. We must enhance our intercity bus transport. Our facilities is not good. There's a design of that already within the municipality. Downstream agricultural produce. I used the example as Stellenbosch, the wine farms. It attracts so many tourists, together with other things. We can do with the farming. We can do the same. Now, we have a massive opportunity. I've been to Germany so many times when East-West Germany reunited. There were so many mines closed, and the infrastructure was not demolished and done away with. New industry were created within that infrastructure. We need, the municipality and the mines must come to an understanding how that can be transferred. I know the security is high, the cost. We must utilize that infrastructure. It's worth not millions, but billions. Refining of mining products and the utilization of mining products in the economy of this town is critical. And the gas could be extremely important input into the economy of this town. I still advocate small-scale mining and processing. I know it's a very tricky, prickly pear with the problem of the zamazamas. Next, I've mentioned, I can't understand why we can't have a logistical hub here. We have big transport carriers, trucks, we see them as we drive on the roads, but we don't have a warehouse here, a logistical hub. I know Free State government has pushed for Harry Smith. Let's push government, Free State government, also to look at Matjhabeng as a freight logistical hub. We have the east-west corridor, the north-south corridor, crossing right here in this town. We have all the infrastructure, railroad, communication, etc. We have the public transport. We must also look at that as a hub. People traveling through here from Botswana to Durban, from Harare to Cape Town. People. And when you have feet, you have opportunities for business. Real estate. Once again, if we can change the focus of Matjhabeng, addressing the environmental issues, and please, we need to address those. I spoke to the Honorable MEC yesterday. We must access the mining reserve funds. We must rehabilitate these mine dumps. All of us are subjected to poison, air pollution, water pollution, everything. And once we've done that, this town could be very attractive for real estate development. Chair, I hope I didn't take too much time, and I hope the apples are low-hanging apples that are giving an appetite.
Thank you very much, Johan. I think you've identified quite a lot of sectors. I think the following speakers will be honing in on various specific sectors. As part of our team, we've got Mr. Kuala from Salga. I think here he's written as economic development and investment. He said his employee will fight with him if he does not identify himself as from Salga. So we'll give him an opportunity to hone in on the specifics of some of the areas. Thank you.
Thank you very much, Program Director. Greetings to the leadership, recognizing our executive mayors, both from the local municipality, Matjhabeng, as well as the district, the MMC presence, colleagues, ladies and gentlemen. Really, for me, it's a great pleasure to be here with you, just to share some of the ideas when we talk about the issues of economic diversification. So the reason why I had to specify and say that I do work for SALGA is because of the kind of work that we do. You do know that we are an association of municipalities, so really our role, among other things, is to ensure that our members get the governance right, they get the environment conducive. We always talk about the conducive environment for business, but what exactly do we mean by that? So when we look at the subject of economic diversification, you'll agree with me, that is not a new thing. It's not a new subject in Africa because of where we come from as a continent. We remember that most of our countries in Africa, they have endowment when it comes to resources, minerals, oil, and to a certain extent, agriculture. For whatever reason, lack of infrastructure in the main, it's affecting the trade between the countries. So for that reason, a number of the countries in Africa have been saying that we cannot continue to rely only on this kind of minerals. If you go to Angola, they are driven by oil. You go to Benin, oil as well. Nigeria, same thing. You come into South Africa, minerals. So the point that I'm making is that the issue of diversification of economy is not new. It's something that has been tried, and it has been successful in some economies, and it has not been successful in some economies. So I just want to really say to the executive mayor and the team that we are excited about the initiative because we believe that the approach that we have taken, the direction that we have taken, it actually deals with some of the issues that have made some of those initiatives elsewhere not to be successful. So I just want to really run through a few of what we call critical success factors of a successful economic diversification. So the first thing is that you have to be honest as a region or as a municipality when you talk about your own comparative and competitive advantages. It doesn't have to be an emotional kind of a debate where you say, because I was born here, because I live here, everything must happen here. That would be an ideal. But when it comes to business, you need to do serious analysis of saying, what do I have? What don't I have? I mean, we do know that even if we set up a small businesses, there are basic stuff that you have to look for. One is the market, the size of your market. If it's small, the access to bigger markets. It's talking about the issues of logistics. How do you get your goods from one point A to point B? Your raw materials. We are saying that we want to run away from mines for good reasons, but at the end of the day, the fact that those resources are still here, it means, as the colleague who presented before me, when he was talking about the manufacturing, we still have to beneficiate some of the stuff that is coming there. So it's critical that you are honest with your comparative as well as competitive advantages. So a number of issues have been raised in the discussion yesterday, even this morning. But one particular critical success factors when you want to diversify the economy is what this region has got right. Where we've got a very strong leadership with a vision. The point was made yesterday when we were listening to the deputy minister, and this morning when the executive mayor was talking, to say that the vision that we are talking about has to outlive our leadership. Because they say that a good leader is a person who's able to look forward and not say in 5 years' time, I may not be here. So you have to be able to have that long-term vision that you are able to create. But what is more important is that you then got a political will, because a vision on its own does not allow you to implement some of that stuff. So it's critical that we have that. So we have seen that in a number of regions where there is a weak leadership and the vision is not clear, you find that the issue of diversification of economy is just a fallacy and it becomes theoretical. The other important factor that has been raised and is also critical is the access to resources, capital, land, skills, and business support. That has been mentioned. The next one is the issue of business-friendly environment. Now, the business-friendly environment is a tricky one because on one hand, as a municipality or as government, we've got processes and policies and regulations, and people have to comply to that. When we've got bylaws, we want people to comply. But what becomes important to create a business environment that is conducive is that you have to streamline those processes, and you have to respond. The point was made that at times you'll have an application and we have fulfilled all the requirements that are set, but it's sitting somewhere in the office and someone is not processing it. So it's very simple. If in town you want to set up a service station and you happen to set up a service station in an area that before it was classified as agricultural land, to go through the process of rezoning, how long does it take? Those are things that are putting businesses off. I'm just making that as a simple example because when you go into high intense projects like the one that we were talking about yesterday, the gas project, you talk about chemical projects and talk about big manufacturing projects, those processes of land rezoning, land reclassification, all those processes can put businesses off. So with that kind of leadership, we need to ensure that we are responsive and we are able to do things within time. The issue of the infrastructure, critical, the issue of the SEZ, that's what I want to zoom into because there's an initiative and a very good initiative to set up an SEZ. But what I can tell you is that in other provinces, the idea of SEZ has been on the table. They made application, the application has been approved. And you find that 5 years down the line, nothing has happened on the ground. So when we put these things on the table, Executive Mayor, we have to make sure that we get the partners on our side. Because there are entities, SOAs, that have been playing in this game, have been able to actually make it work. I mean, the MEC of Finance made an example of Richards Bay IDZ. It was an IDZ that started, if you remember, probably 10 years ago. and she was telling us that it was finalized last week. So we have to make sure that we get right people to actually drive that process, because it's very complicated, it's very demanding, because for a simple reason that the SEZ is gonna give South African PES, basically part of the PES, to support the businesses. So there are so many things that have to be in place to make sure that it qualifies. So I will encourage you to partner with entities like your IDC, like your DTIC, to actually work together to put that application so that it's able to move in quickly. One thing that will be discouraging is that we come back here 5 years down the line, we are still saying we want to set up the SEZ, but it's just delayed in the process. So for me, it's very critical that we have to do it. The presentation that was made this morning by Infrastructure SA is also a very important partner, because the infrastructure is one of the critical success factors for us to diversify our economy. The other one is just a quality of life. You know what has been happening, if you look around South Africa, almost 2/3 of the economy of South Africa is concentrated in only 10 municipalities. We've got about 257 municipalities. 2/3, 66% is concentrated into 10 municipalities. When you go and look at what that economy involves, you'll find that the biggest portion of it is actually in the financial and services sector. And that those two sectors actually drive the economy. And simply put, if you get that one right, if you've got any manufacturing, if you've got the industrialization, those sectors, like the services sector, the financial services sector, they come afterwards. All around the world, if you look at the successful economies, successful municipalities, those two sectors become critical. But there are things that go with that. We'll remember that not long ago, South Africa started to embark on getting call centers. International call centers will come and set up in South Africa. In fact, some of them, they don't even do business here. You'll find that it's a call center, the customers are sitting in London, and people are just making calls and selling products that we don't even know. The advantage of it is that they are able to recruit and hire our youngsters. But the challenge with it is that the youngsters, when they come to live in the community, they will come in to live in Welkom if there is entertainment, if there is proper housing, if there is schooling, there's clinics. They will say, when they do the calculation to say, let me come to set up in Welkom, they say, how many clinics per a number of people? Population per clinic or population per hospital or something like that for police stations. So those things are important, because in order for us to be able to attract other industries, we need to ensure that we've got all those basics right. Obviously, the issue of partnerships and collaborations, a lot has been said there. Mayor, my plea is that when you want to see it happen, it's important that you take leadership, you raise the flag, and you talk to as many people as possible. But for it to succeed, you need to have what I'll call ambassadors. Private business, listen to private business. If you've got a chairman of Harmony Gold talking about this area, someone else is likely to listen to him better than the mayor. It's just like that, because they believe that as government officials, we can sell, but we can't do. They believe that their own can do the work better. So we need to identify, say, 10 ambassadors, maybe from the private sector, from the academia, and all those. Those are the people who understand the vision, they understand the plan, and they are able to go around and sell the message. We do need to have such. And then obviously the issue of innovation. When we diversify, it does not always mean that one industry must die in order to have others. You go back to the industry that has sustained the economy of the region for a long time, and you say, how can we tweak it? What are the new opportunities? How can we position differently so that it continues to do what it's been doing? So there are two ways of looking at it. You look at in terms of the innovation, how to improve what you already have, and then how to attract the new one. Because at times we get to be too excited about the new businesses, and we forget that there's still value in what we have. Because the skill set that is there really is actually, for me, is the biggest advantage that you have. And make those people to add value. I mean, some of these things really, you do not have to go far. In South Africa, we grew up with telecom. But today, when you look at Cell C, Vodacom, those people are employing much more people, and a lot of technology that was at telecom and the skills just moved across because of the whole industry. But it's the same sector. It's still a communication sector, and we are able to make use of what we have. So I don't want to take too much of the time, but I just want to end with this one, to say, I do know that we are at Matjhabeng, we are in the district, we are at Free State. So what we tend to do is that we tend to look at our geographical location as if it's a start and all. If we talk tourism, for example, you've got a person coming from Germany. He doesn't care whether he's in Velkom or he's at Nala municipality. So the point I'm making is that when we develop some of these industries, we have to take a regional approach instead of a nodal approach. Because in terms of the value addition, you may find that the production is taking place next door, the processing is taking place here, but the packaging is taking place elsewhere. So we need to understand that value chain, and we do need to have people within the municipalities who are able to package this together with our neighbors so that we are able to do that. I mean, in tourism, it's just like that. You have to have, I mean, in KZN, where I come from, we've got what we call a Midland meander. Midland meander cuts across municipalities because we are able to say, if we run out of accommodation here, you go next door. You don't compete because you are supporting each other. The other one that is very popular international is what is known as Garden Route. Garden Route, it cuts across provinces, but it's a route that we are selling. We are not selling a node, because in order to sustain your economy, you do need that kind of a regional approach. Thank you very much for your time.
Thank you very much, Mr. Kuala. On the note of tourism, we'd like Mr. Lichakane to take us through tourism.
Thank you, Program Director. MEC Khadija Brown in her absence, Executive Mayor, ladies and gentlemen, good afternoon. My name is Thabo Dishagani. I am a resident of Matjhabeng, born and bred. I'm also the chairperson of the Matjhabeng Tourism Forum, which is a project between the private sector and the municipality to try to develop the tourism sector for Matjhabeng, based on the fact that we know that Matjhabeng's gold mining industry is in decline. Now, there has been an effort to diversify the economy away from mining for the benefit of the people of Matjhabeng. Now, I'm just going to be short, I'm not going to be long. I was actually given 2 minutes to just browse through these issues I have here. Now, the tourism initiatives in South Africa are governed by the National Department of Tourism, which was promulgated a law in 1996. There was also the tourism white paper that was released in 1996 to that effect, which spells clearly the process that tourism in the country, the tourism initiatives, the direction they must take from both the public, the private sectors. Now, the first National Tourism Sector Strategy for South Africa was published in 2011, subsequently from the adoption of the Act, as a 10-year strategy that was developed from 2009 to 2020, which aimed to position South Africa as one of the top 20 global tourism destinations. Now, what is tourism? According to the United Nations World Tourism Organization, they define tourism as a social, cultural, and economic phenomenon which entails the movement of people to countries or places outside of their usual environment for personal or business and professional purposes. In tourism, we also have what we call segmentation. For business purposes, a tourist is somebody that leaves their usual environment for a minimum of 24 hours to undertake business in another location. That person would also be considered to be under the MICE. There's a market segment called MICE in tourism that is for meetings, incentives, conferences, and exhibitions. It's a very, very big market that we, after having developed the Sand River Tourism Route strategy of the Matjhabeng Local Municipality in partnership with the private sector, we aim to also plug into that particular tourism economic sector to make sure that we benefit our local economy. Now, tourism has a very huge economic value chain. What do we mean by that? If a person has to leave their immediate environment and come into, let's say from Bloemfontein into Welkom, that person would not come here with their house or their dinner or their any other thing. They'll come here with their money and maybe their transport. So they'll need accommodation to sleep. Then the destination would then provide accommodation to such a person. Then if he wants to come and do any other activities, he would then have maybe go to a museum or go to an entertainment event. Then in the destination, such events can be organized for such people. So the tourism value chain is quite huge. You have got the transportation part of it. That is then where you have your car rental companies, your AVs, heads, and many, many, many others. You've got bus companies, you've got taxi companies, you've got the ferries, the river ferries. For an example, we have a river here in Matjhabeng, in the Sand River, in Virginia. The Tikwe Lodge, previously, they used to do river rafting with the ferries. People would come, when they've booked into Tikwe Lodge, one of the activities would be to embark on a river rafting on like a 30 people river rafting ship that would be taking them on top of the river there. Under accommodation, you have hotels, you have apartments, you have guest houses, and you have youth hostels. Under food and beverage, you have bars, you have restaurants, you have nightclubs, you have fast food providers, you have itinerary food and shops, you have kiosks, you also have souvenirs, food souvenirs. You also have got handicrafts, people that do arts and crafts that are part of the tourism value chain. Normally, a tourist destination or a tourism destination marketing company would develop a tourism package wherein products will be developed, accommodation, restaurants, transport, they club together, maybe with a souvenir. A person who does arts, whatever let me say they are coming here for a cultural event. You give them these things of the Zulus, that thing is done by arts and crafters. A tourism company markets and packages that together, and they sell it as a package to the tourist. And then they stimulate the whole value chain. So it saves the people, the arts and crafters, the stress of having to sell to people and sometimes irritate tourists, because we have different types of tourists as well. Then we have leisure. We have leisure tourists, people that come for holidays and many other purposes. Now, the NTSS wanted South Africa to be one of the top 20 global destinations by 2020. We have missed that target. The actual achievement of South Africa of international tourist arrivals from last year, 2022, was actually 5.6 million. And then, meaning we've missed the target by a long shot. Now, the tourism sector strategy has been reviewed to make sure that we refocus our energy and make sure that we stay the course to try and attract the bigger share of the tourism market, global market, because last year in 2022, there was 1.2 billion trips that was undertaken by tourists, meaning people left their countries to another country for purposes of leisure, travel, and business. Now, why does tourism matter for South Africa? According to the NTSS, the National Tourism Sector Strategy, in 2015, Tourism created 702,824 direct jobs in South Africa, directly. It also created 1.5 million indirect jobs. That is far bigger than any other sector in South Africa, all of them. Even gold mining and platinum mining doesn't employ as many people. So the peak in tourism in South Africa was in 2016, when more than 10 million tourists arrived in South Africa, international tourists. The reason why South African tourism prioritizes international tourists is that they come here with money to spend. So according to the tourism satellite account, they spend an average of $146 per day that they are in South Africa. If you can just do that by today's exchange rate, it's more than 3,500 to 4,000 rands a day that they are spending. And they are spending an average of 5 days, or they've spent an average of 5 days in South Africa. So that's quite a significant amount of money that is pumped into the local economy through tourism. Now, I don't know whether most of you here, you have got the investment guide that was issued by the municipality for this conference. All right. Now, one of the ways that we aim to do these things as a locally based business sector is that we aim to do specific, or we aim to do smart objectives in terms of implementation of our tourism development plan for Matjhabeng as a critical stakeholder. We want to do specific and measurable, achievable, realistic, and time-related milestones, so that we make sure that we achieve the objectives set for ourselves. I think in page 20 of the investment guide, we have got there 12.6, which is tourism and hospitality. Now, according to the Center for Tourism Route Plan that I've mentioned earlier, we have developed a strategy that is aligned with the national tourism sector strategy to make sure that we minimize whatever risks and potential investor might have to ponder with if they were to invest here in Matjhabeng. We have identified a tourism sector, subsector of mining. We are going to be developing mining tourism. Going forward, there's discussions with gold mining companies in this area to that effect. There's also game farming. That is an opportunity that you can look into in terms of if you want to invest within this area. There's also the recreational garden parks and open spaces, opportunity that you can invest in. There's also water sports. As I've mentioned, the Sand River, they used, even now, they do sometimes weekend. On weekends, you get people from all over coming there to do water canoeing in the Sand River presently as we speak. We are going to be doing arts and culture as a subsector of our tourism strategy. We are also going to do short-term accommodation. Now, currently, one of the members of the Center for Tourism Route is the Guest House Association. They've reported to me that they have currently 700 guest houses in Welkom, Virginia, Odindal, Allan Ridge, Henneman, and Ventersburg. There's 7,000 guest houses with average 5 rooms per guest house. So that would translate to a number of rooms about 3,500. So if we take into consideration the investment that is coming through from Tetra Drainagen, where in which there's going to be a development of that gas project that aims to also bring the SEZ into that area. According to the manager in LED, senior manager, he said they're looking at 10,000 square kilometers, 10,000 hectares, 10,000 hectares. So that is a big opportunity for anybody to tap into that, to start tapping into that. From where I'm sitting as a tour operator, I would say an opportunity immediately lies in accommodation providers, hotel builders that can immediately come, liaise with the municipality to talk about an opportunity of being given land and develop 100, 200 bed hotel in Virginia or Welcome, because the amount of rooms that we have is only about, as I've said, around 3,500 rooms. So next year, we are also planning to go full scale into marketing. So we're going to be needing a lot of guest houses in our area. So on that note, I think I'm going to close this first session, and then I'll sit for the questions and answers. Thank you.
Mayor, Executive Mayor, thank you. It's a local business people that are talking now. It's not a dream, it's reality in terms of how implementation should take place. Thank you very much, Mr. Luchagan. You've taken us to the base levels where we want to know what can we do and when can we do it and how we can do it. The next speaker is Mr. Reggie Mutsi. He is also a local business person and also the chair of the Free State Black Business Chamber. He will also take us on local opportunities rather than opportunities at a very high level. Thank you.
Thank you, Executive Mayor, MMCs. It is always a pleasure that this is so high to link up with you from the National Council of Provinces. And all protocol were observed. My presentation is about opportunities that can be explored to stimulate local economy. And I've looked into our environment and have decided to go on two things. On the left hand, I will be dealing with what we have, which we should improve to stimulate local economy. And I've also looked into what we don't have, what we should have, which we should have to stimulate local economy. And I've looked into the following, in line with what I've just talked to, mining, textile, and two companies that we have here, SEZ and Sunflower. Now, as I start with what we have, Executive Mayor, we have a company here, and I'm passionate about it for various reasons. This company is called Sparta. It employs 1,200 people. 10% of the beef in South Africa comes from that company. That company slaughters on average over 1,000 cows a day. And pays to the municipality an average in terms of water and electricity about 1.5 million. Now, with it, the only challenges that they have is when they have electricity interruptions and water interruptions, which impact negatively on the livelihood of their business. Now, when on the one side, as we talk about luring foreign investment, we look at the holiday period, what incentives that we can have for companies coming in. We also need to look critically in those companies that we have that do a meaningful contribution to our economy. Because let me tell you, why is it that is important for us to do that? There was a very bad experience that happened in Northwest, and I'm not hoping for it. Maybe I should not even say it, because people know what happened. But I think what should happen ideally is that we should look at such companies critically. For those of you who do not know, they are part of the company that was sponsoring on many years in the past the Makufe Cup. Now, if you have them, having played in that space with the vision that the mayor has in terms of establishing a football team here, you already have a local sponsor. Okay. Now, but for me, in terms of stimulating economic growth, the trip that I undertook to Russia 3 years ago, I visited a company that was producing leather out of hides and the seats, aeroplane seats, and many other things, shoes, and many other things that come out of that situation. And I came back to the municipality. I want to sponsor this idea for anybody who would want to take it and move with it. Came back with that idea, and I approached Sparta, and I said, how many cows do you slaughter per day? This is the information they gave me. How many of those skins, the hides that you export, and how many do you import? They gave me the ratio. They were importing 70% at that time because it meant a lot of business sense for rand-dollar exchange issues and selling locally 30%. Until at a point. Now, if you could then have an agreement, an arrangement with Sparta because they are here, and establish a company that gets into manufacturing of those hides in an effort to produce as end results your leathers and the other things. Now you have another factory next to it, locally. That would take advantage of an existing one because they don't now have to sell them anywhere else. You just take them, get them here, and establish another factory. This is massive job creation, innovation that does not allow things to go out of Matjhabeng for to be refined or to be manufactured. And the reason I'm raising this of the ones we have where we can take advantage is purely on the basis of that we have an opportunity to improve on what we have and introduce a manufacturing company that will take advantage of that besides many other things that we can look at emanating from that. What we have, Executive Mayor, there's a company here that is into textile, PPE, but they're focusing mainly on municipalities. What will it take if that company can grow to the extent of engaging with provincial government, national government, based in Velkom, and grow it to a level where they would have to have a massive employment that you had previously in Cape Town, which was very famous about textile and manufacturing, and take a little detour and not focus on government PPEs, but make deals with your likes of Pep Store and others that produce uniform and other things. Just so that you grow the economy. It's an opportunity that exists that I think we should take advantage of over time. The third issue that I want to talk to in 2 minutes, it is a little outside Velkom, Matjhabeng rather, but it is still in our district. For many years, people have been talking about sunflower in Bothaville. For many years, and how that can be, how we can take advantage of it to produce cooking oil. Because all what we've been doing has been to take it some way for that to happen. This Russian-Ukrainian war, unfortunately, has put us to a point where the price of cooking oil has gone up by 50% in 1 year. Now imagine if we were involved in that space and having to export that, how would have that industry grown from where it would have been to where it should be? So it is important with what has been said here, Executive Mayor, that we don't only talk about opportunities. Someone referred to establishing ambassadors, but have people who you would say, this specific project, you run with it, we want to know when it will come to see the light of day. Because unless you do that, we will fail on implementation. on a number of projects that we're looking at. I am particularly encouraged with what I've heard the executive mayor pushing on the issue of a special economic zone. Already we have a plus factor of the gas. When I attended the presidential investment summit last year, there was only one company from the Free State. It is this Renergen. It was already worth 12 billion rand at the time, phase one. Now imagine when we get to phase two and others, what is going to happen there. So we already have a plus factor of that establishment that should assist and motivate why we should have a special economic zone around, which would obviously bring a lot more of companies associated to that that we would have to look advantage on. Now, lastly, on mining, Executive Mayor, for a while people have been doing explorations around here. Sometimes we heard that there's the belt of uranium running from this point to this. There's gold still available, this. And as we were engaging and thinking about that, boom, came the gas one. Now, surely, there are still a number of opportunities that we can look at around mining in the area. The only question is who becomes an implementing agent or the front runner of these projects such that ultimately they see the light of day. So we will continue to engage. We are here. Our responsibility is to ensure that the economy of this country, of this area, Matjhabeng, flourishes. And so the detail of my presentation, Executive Mayor, I will hand over to you. We have been advised to give an overview of our presentations. But as I conclude, I would want to believe that there's a difference between running government and running business, right? And often people confuse the two. The business of business is not politics. And the business of business is not government. The business of business is business. And so I thank you, Executive Mayor and the team for having afforded us this opportunity to engage those people who would want to tread carefully and be sure of what they are doing in business. Please, let's just adhere to ethics, business ethics. Business is it's a good thing to venture into, but you have to know what you are doing. And similarly, the difference between school and life is that in school, you are taught a lesson and given a test later. But in life, you are given a test that teaches you a lesson. I thank you.
I think this was the best note to finish with in this panel of ours. Tate Reggie, thanks for your wisdom, not only on business, but on life in general. Thank you very much. We're looking for wisdom in times of like this so that we can be able to map our way forward. Executive Mayor, we are supposed to be going to pledges now. Today, we don't want to waste a lot of time because I think people who've been here for 2 days, we want to go into pledges. And firstly, thank you very much to our panel. I think what we did as a starting point, we identified opportunities at the general level. I think the last two speakers did not deal with general, they dealt with specific around Matjhabeng and around specific projects. So we are really grateful and thank you very much to the panel as a whole. There are exhibitions that we have outside, but I think before we go to those exhibitions, Mayor, Executive Mayor would like to deal with pledges so that people with pledges can come forward. So they can come forward. I think they were preparing a table forward here in the front. As I said, Executive Mayor, that the national department, the national government gave us Chief Whip Wabo to come and stand with you when we accept these pledges. So he has volunteered to be with you here today. He said he's going to spend the whole day in Matjhabeng today and will take the report back to Parliament in terms of what the good work Matjhabeng is doing. So in these pledges, I would like to ask both of you to come forward so that we can receive the pledges from various Golan. Thank you very much. Then we can go. In terms of our African culture, the land belongs to all of us, but people who administer that land are the chiefs. We happen to have one of our youngest serving chiefs of Royal Bafokeng Nation in Northwest, who has blessed us with his presence, Dr. Keketso Rakuno, to come and commit us all in terms of the investment that is going to take place in Matjhabeng. Dr. Keketso.
Chairpersons of proceedings, the MEC responsible for finance, the district mayor, the executive mayor, the chief whip, MMCs that are here, the councillors, the stakeholders, and all protocol observed. It is an honor to be invited to attend this auspicious summit as the youngest serving chief of the Royal Bafokeng Nation in the Northwest Province, leading the community of Tzitzing. I am standing here this afternoon being responsible for the health, social development and services sector to support what we call RPL quality assurance and leadership development. It is the excellent work that this municipality of Matjhabeng, it is already doing in our communities that we as the nation in the Northwest, we want to harness and build upon. Therefore, we pledge to support through creating a structured socio-economic programs into the following two areas. Area number one, it's education and skills development, focusing in the green energy programs and prototype development. Area focus number two, it's community development interventions, where we have partnered with BMW South Africa to come and pilot the first pilot program called the Rapid Incubation. And because of the budget that we were given and how we're going to pledge it, we are going to start in Ward 19 under the leadership of Councillor Ramatisa and in Ward 36 under the leadership of Councillor Hanisi in the next month. Of course, with the support of Maria Ramatisa and Freddy Ramatisa, who heads the head economic development in the Northwest. And these two, they are both from this city. They were born and bred in this municipality. They are just now working for us in the Northwest. That is why we saw it important that we come and be part of this. In conclusion, I would love to say to the residents of Matjhabeng Municipality and those that are also from the district and the neighboring cities, I want to say to you that the vision is clear. The vision of this municipality is clear. The mayor knows what he's doing. His office knows what he is doing. The ball is in your court. Yesterday, they were building the foundation. Today, they're still building the foundation. It's up to us, it's up to you as the people of this municipality, how you want to build this. And I want to say to all the SMMEs, all the people that are here, could be from various sectors that you live in this municipality. I want to say these words to you. Don't take this casual, because you will end up being casual. But take this as a form of learning, take it back home and see how you can do this. This is a call
retail. In fact, I have been already approached by one of the national retailers. They have an interest, Mr. Mayor, at Odedels Rals. I didn't hear that. My Afrikaans is no good. I was born in Mpumalanga, so you'll understand. So, but you heard what I've said. So they have interest. They came to me because we have a long-standing relationship and said, we want to be there. So I hope that will move a bit faster. My last part, Mr. Mayor, is that which I will plead with Matjhabeng. I'm the only black administrator in this country since 1995. I started in 2001 in the financial sector. I do pension administration. Now, when we do all this investment, these investments, majority of it, don't belong to Akan Properties. They belong to the municipal workers. Therefore, my appeal, and I'm very brutal wherever I go because I'm very open, is that new employees in Matjhabeng has to belong to the Municipal Employees Pension Fund so that they can see where the investment are invested. Because there's a lot of money, I must tell you, within municipalities, in the pension funds. And those pension funds are not investing within the communities. So far, what the only pension fund is called Municipal Employees Pension Fund, it invests back in the townships. We're doing that in Panorama, we've done that in Khalashiwa, right in the township. We're doing that in Steve Chwete currently as I speak to you. We want to come here in Matjhabeng and do our best. Thank you very much.
was futhi. All right, ladies and gentlemen, thank you very much to those who have pledged, and we really welcome any investment that comes to Matjhabeng. Before we close and go outside for the exhibition, I would like Ntate Mohai just to say some few words from the National Council of Provinces before we ask the mayor to close for us. Thank you.
Thanks very much, Program Director. I must say that this is quite a very great event, and I want to acknowledge the Executive Mayor and Tate Khalipa, the MMCs that are present here. We've been with the MMC Finance and MMC of Mujale Fakana MMCY. Yeah, LED and the Chief Whip of Matjhabeng, and greetings to all councillors that are here. And of course, I must recognize I've seen officials from Matjhabeng here, local sphere of government, and the provincial government officials. I believe national officials are as well here, because it's important when we have occasions like this that we manage the inter-spheres planning. And I think Salga cautioned that when you plan, you should not be narrow, you should not look only into your environment, but look into your entire value chain. So we're also grateful that we have private sector, investors, and all the partners that are here. So really, this is quite encouraging. And as well, let me acknowledge the Bafokeng chief. Yes, the past 2 days you covered great ground. And I must say that this is a welcomed initiative to have this kind of a summit, investment summit, to pause and reflect on what needs to be done, both either in the short term, medium, and long term, is really a welcome initiative. Its success should be felt in the impact of the outcomes. We should have measurable milestones that we target to ensure we not lose sight of implementation. We should target a particular level of investment in specific sectors. We need to package economic opportunities in key sectors which are ready to invest in. The district development model requires us to develop a district economic plan in line with provincial and national strategy. We need to develop industry ecosystems to support the value chains of regional competitive advantage in various sectors that has been identified here. Key among those, the issue around is agriculture, areas around the gas deposits in the region, but also we should be able to attend to issues around mining industry. There's still much that can be done to ensure that we deal with the areas that were identified. We should focus on upstream and downstream development. Localizing industrial development of value chains can enhance the competitiveness of the district in its key sectors. So development finance crowding is critical to finance public and private investment in infrastructure development. I had the benefit of the presentation by Infrastructure SA, which was quite good. Also, we need to address these issues. We need to support local investors to master project finance as key method for attaching finance where feasible and ready where projects already exist. The province has a law update of IDC funding as an example, and other state financing institutions. I think we should be frank. Free State has always been relying on government services, just relying on the state fiscals to drive development. So this is a very important platform, and it exposes us on the significance of a private sector investment in the economy, what benefits it will play. So we really need to have an industry-targeted approach and encourage growth of industries and target growth of industries through accessing finance from state financiers. We should also target private finance. And I think the spirit in Matjhabeng, the aggressiveness within which Matjhabeng asset itself is the most important one. I think it should be most welcomed. We hope that also the province takes this approach because it will benefit the growth of the economy. We've got a single economy, we've got one economy in the country. So to the extent that we drive this developmental agenda here, it translates into the benefits of all the people of South Africa and even to can go to the region. So we should not be narrow that there is Matjhabeng economy. No, there's one South African economy, and we should be able to address that. But Matjhabeng must claim its space within the setup of our own country. So we should review if it is necessary. I think I heard somebody saying that thing. I just took this point. But if it is necessary, I think we should always be able to attend to regulations which impact negatively on investment, so that we are able to address the issues of reducing the red tapes. We should be able to confront those issues if it is identified that we are faced with such issues. We need to have a regional and continental strategy as part of the Africa Continental Free Trade Development to create markets for local production. We should be aware of the policy regime in our country. In fact, South Africa is a signatory now to Africa Continental Free Trade Development. So it means opening of the markets, and it will mean that competitiveness will be key. So global trade markets are critical, and we need to proactively have agreements to increase the current production in the district and to create opportunities for new entrants and investment. This will assist us to increase demand for goods and services, and ours should be to increase supply. All of us must accept that we're not long in a democratic setting as a country. So many of the countries that we're competing with are established democracies. And as a result, many of the people don't understand trade much more thorough, and also they will seize the opportunity. So we have to move with speed in terms of positioning ourselves and a country in this Africa free continental trade. So the last thing I'll do as a member of parliament is to pledge my absolute loyalty that these programs will play greater oversight, and I wish that the state of the nation could be nearer. You can hear us articulating some of these discussions at that national platform. So that's my pledge, that this will not be a secret elsewhere, but these issues will be articulated at various platforms, even at the regional forums. We will talk about these issues. And I think one of the colleagues here that was pledging from Mauritius, and Mauritius is part of the SADC countries. So it is important that the regional development, when we address these issues, in fact, it just shows how investment works. And even the pledges that have been made here will position South Africa, Free State, at the center of South Africa. And I think I agree with that thing. For us to host conference that is exceeding 5,000 or 4,000 people, we need to wait for universities, schools to close. We need to wait for facilities of the universities and even extend to schools in terms of accommodation. So we experience that from time to time. We do not have facilities that are capable of carrying numbers of people. And we know historically, Free State is both a political and a historical heritage of South Africa. So coming to Free State has got many benefits. Thanks the most.
Thank you very much, Chief Whip. Ladies and gentlemen, I think we're now coming to the close of our session, but because the mayor opened the session, he's likely to be the person who should also close this session. But before the mayor speaks as the last speaker, I would like to thank everyone who blessed this sort of occasion by their presence. I would like to thank the organizers, the people who are responsible for organizing, the sponsors, business, government representatives, state-owned companies that are here that came to support this initiative. Thank you very much to everyone who really took part in that. And ladies and gentlemen, from me, thank you very much. I'll give over to the mayor to close. And after we've closed, I think there are exhibitions out there, and that I think lunch also will be served. Thank you.
No, thank you very much, Babu Kupe, our program director from TM Foundation. Upanemo Pelemato, I think you did very well. And our Chief Whip of the municipality, Kupale Nanemo Pelemato, our district mayor, you must do that. Our Chief Whip of the NCOP, let's also do that in between. Thank you very much, Program Director, to our MMCs. Let's just give them that respect, and our councillors, business community, our investors. The most important pledge was your presence. That is the most important pledge, to be part of this initiative by the municipality. Matjhabeng, as we open this summit, ladies and gentlemen, we've put a very big vision, and that vision can only work if we get support from our people, including business, our local business, national, local, national, and international business, and all our people. This vision will only work if we get that support. Chief Whip of the NCOP, last year, we approached and we did a lot of networking to host, you remember that the national conference of the ruling party was not concluded in Nazareth. And we did that work with our Secretary General and the officials. And when we're supposed to host that part of those few days was around the accommodation. That was the only thing that made us to lose that conference of the ANC. This year, the number of officials of the ruling party did not want to have the January 8 in Mangaung. Again, we lost it because of accommodation. And I told the leadership of the province that is going to be the last time. We are going to work very hard if that is a criteria, unless there is another criteria. If the criteria for hosting all these conferences and this big event, including the June 16, and I hope, and so Chief Whip, you are not part because you have your constituents office here in Matjhabeng. You are part of us. So we get a letter that we are going to host June 16, both Matjhabeng and the district. Within 48 hours, it's changed. And we are told again, is the accommodation. And then I did my own work. And now the president is not going there. It's, the deputy president was the one who will address that June 16. Because we network, did our work, and some people noticed somewhere did something opposite. So they will proceed with their June 16. We hope very soon we'll host something big where the president will be here. We are not doing these things, Chief Whip, Program Director, for ourselves. We are doing these things for our people. And all the investors who are making this pledge. And one of the reasons why some of the people are not want to invest is because of corruption and bribes. And we can make that commitment that nobody is going to demand any bribe from Matjhabeng. We can make that commitment. So anyone that do that to these investors, please inform us. We can expose them. Because people are not going to be part of any government, any society that is having a cancer of corruption. Corruption is a cancer and must be rejected by our people. And we need to do that, all of us, and we need to lead by example. We must lead by example, all of us, because it's destroying economic growth. And the people who suffer at the end is ordinary people. So these investors who have made this commitment, we can, in terms of resolutions of council, we have a very good speaker of our council, Councillor Stofile, who is not part of us because he's in Kenya. We are able to convene a council meeting within 72 hours and you have a resolution. And we have agreed on that. Whether it's present or is not present, we consult with the Chief Whip, we have an acting speaker, we have a council resolution within 72 hours. Because we are competing with other municipalities. So investors, they don't want to be delayed and you talk a lot of politics. All what they want people who are decisive, people who are able to take decisions. So we are part of that team, Team Matjhabeng, for a new way of doing things, We are going to commit mistakes, but the reason why we are committing mistakes is because we are doing something. That's the reason. And we are happy that people came. We have also received some commitment pledge. We are informed that there's a company before end of this year, they are going to start a construction of a pledge of a 1.2 billion company that is going to be coming to Matjhabeng. And they have started in Bloemfontein. They have invested in Matjhabeng 300 million. And they are telling us that they are going to invest here in Matjhabeng 1.2 billion because of political stability. So I'm not sure why they are only investing only 300 million in Mangaung. And I hope, and I suspect the reason why they are doing that is because there have been a lot of investment in Mangaung. So people are beginning to change and invest somewhere. So we were also invited on Monday by the Chinese Forum of Business. We've informed that people will be attending with more than 210 Chinese business, which they've invited us and they've requested that we must invite some 5 companies locally who will be joining us, and we've already done that. So we'll be part of that meeting. And our reason doing all these things, is to promote economic growth in line with what President Ramaphosa in the State of the Nation address indicated, that we need to focus on issues of economic growth. And that is our contribution to Matjhabeng. And I'm happy that the Chief Executive Officer of the Thabo Mbeki Foundation, they have just informed us this morning that former President Mbeki, part of his contribution, that the next investment summit, he wants to chair in the preparatory committee that will organize that investment summit. So that is his contribution to Matjhabeng, and he will also be an ambassador. He has appointed himself as an ambassador of Matjhabeng. So he told us. So when we met with him with Councillor Mjalifa for more than 6 hours, he told us, as from today, I'm an ambassador of Matjhabeng, and I'm going to do this work. I don't need to be paid to do that work. So that's why the foundation is here. We don't pay the accommodation, we don't pay anything. It's part of the contribution of President Ramaphosa, President Thabo Mbeki. And our President Ramaphosa, he has deployed his team, which is they have been working with us. And he has gone all out, President Ramaphosa, aggressive, promoting Matjhabeng. And I'm sure you remember that they have been talking about Big Six. When he talked about that Big Six, he corrected, he said, now, no, I informed him last week, it is no longer Big Six. They are now top 7. Because it's no longer top 7, it's top 8. We have added 2 to some of the people who are naughty, who have been doing wrong things. So they are now 8. They are no longer 6. And these are people who have been doing wrong things in our municipality. These are people who have been looting our municipality. And these are people who have been giving wrong invoices. If something is supposed to be 10 rand, it will be 200 rand. If it's supposed to be 1 million, it will be 10 million. So those naughty things, we can't be associated with people who are doing wrong things. As we are doing all this work, we want to tell the people of Matjhabeng that we commit and we pledge that we must be the servants of our people. We must be an honest leadership, ethical leadership. So we are now telling all of you, Bommele Bontate, please, all of you, can you appoint yourself as ambassadors of Matjhabeng? Be ambassadors of Matjhabeng, ambassadors of the Free State. And we are also getting this support to our Premier, Premier Dugwan. Since he has been appointed as a Premier of the province, he has been promoting the province, but he has also been promoting Matjhabeng around issues of good governance and ethical leadership. So Babus Chabalala was here yesterday, and we are serious about this issue of football. We are really serious. So as we will be persuading people who have money, we are really appealing to them. Once there's an opportunity, whether in this season, please, borakgwebo ba ikopanye, ho be le club mona Matjhabeng. And we will be meeting with the chairperson of the Premier League, Dr. Koza, on Monday, to really persuade him to assist us to get a team. Matjhabeng, as others are fighting that Maselesele must come back, we are supporting them. That Maselesele must come back, but we have our own project of the Velkom Real Hearts. That is our project. So the people of Mangaung will be focusing on Celtics, will be focusing on the Real Hearts. And I have no doubt with the work that we are doing, there's a possibility that we will be the first to get that one. But if they get it first, still in the Free State, we will be supporting that. But with the work that we are doing, I have no doubt if we don't achieve this year, next year we are there. So we are already looking on getting a coach. You can see we are serious. We are already getting a coach. We are already looking on, there are people who are already going all over the country to get players. We suspect that there is a team that is still our coach. That coach is somewhere in one team which is doing some development work. But very soon that coach, there's something that we're going to do with that coach. He's from here, he's from Matjhabeng. So we want that coach to come back to Matjhabeng because he's misplaced there. So he must come back to Matjhabeng. So thank you very much for attending this summit. Next year, if there were challenges, we are going to plan better. But I want to thank the municipal manager, the entire team of the administration, members of the mayoral committee, councillors of Matjhabeng, all officials from all the levels, Free State government, national government, our office, the office of the mayor, people who have been pushing to do this work. We will plan better. There have been challenges there and there, but I can tell you the next summit, and I hope by that time we'll have a hotel. This is what we want. And another thing that we also want to communicate, we need a school accommodation to investors. We have more than 8,000 students in our area who don't have an accommodation. In our waiting list, we have more than 30,000 people who want accommodation. These graduates who have just started working, police and all, including people who are working in the municipality. So people who are in business must focus on property because we need property in Matjhabeng. That's why we are focusing on the new city than focusing on buying cars. To some of the business people, we better invest on property because property does not lose value. A car, you get it today and it's no longer 2 million, it's 1.5 million. Within a year, it's finished. So let's focus on property, and we are mobilizing business people. Please invest on property in Matjhabeng, we are looking for people who can invest again around issues of property. So thank you very much, and re a leboha bo mme le bo ntate. Re kopa re be le letsatsi le le monate, ba kgutlela morao, ba drive hantle. You must still come back again in Matjhabeng in the next investment summit. We are now closing this summit. Bye-bye.
We are on, but me are available. All right, all right. Pele, ha ba ya dinthong, ba re ke eng? Be re ya re lo ja. Ha re kgutla mo re tla be re tlo etsa di-interview you don't make we good? Mohi jwalo ka e le hore seboka sena sa matsatsi a mabedi se fitla pheletsong mona masepaleng wa Matjhabeng e ne le seboka sa matsete mme se kwetswe semmuso jwalo ke ramotse wa phethahatso wa ka mona ka Matjhabeng e leng Thando Xolo. Mohi jwale haufinyana le nna mona re na le majoro wa setereke e leng Mme Veronica Ntakumbana mo e leng hore re batla mononya maikutlo mabapi le seboka sena ka moo se tsamaileng ka teng le molaetsa wa hae ka otlolwa a tlabe a o fetisetsa ho baahi ba Matjhabeng. Majoro ha re o dumedise ho One Free State TV mme ra o amohela.
Dumela ntate le nna ke a amoheleha ka hore neng dumedisa ka sheko ke dumedisa le baahi kaofela ba Matjhabeng baahi ba Lejweleputswa kaofela ka kakaretso.
Molaetsa wa hao majoro e ka ba ko feng ha ile mona seboka sena sa ho tsetela e leng investment summit e fitlile pheletsong ka jeno o bona le atlehile ho ya pele kapa bona le tla nakong e tlang?
Ke lebohile haholo ntate ka summit enana e etsaitseng ka sheko mona Matjhabeng. Summit enana ke summit ya bobedi ha isale re kena ka ofising ya rona e etswa ke Matjhabeng Local Municipality e le ka hara dimasepala tse 5 tsa district e le Matjhabeng, Tswelopele, Nala, Tikologo and Tswelopele. Re lebile haholo ka senana se esang kwa qeto enkwe ke seboka sa Matjhabeng sa hore selemo se seng le se seng ba etse bonnete ba hore ba bukanela monana ba bitsa batho ba na le ditjhelete hore ba tle ka hara Matjhabeng ka hore re kene ka teming ya rona re bona dintho boemo ne bo se hantle haholo mare ka summit ya pele re bone phethuo e etsaitseng ka hara Matjhabeng le hona tjenana re lebuile haholo batho ba e ba iketa etsa hore ba tle ka monana summiting ba tla ba tlo etsa commitment. Re are hoping hore as Lejweleputswa district le rona district ya rona e tlo iponatsa batho ba bana ba tlile ka monana ha ba tla fela ho tlo bua ka Matjhabeng fela ba tlile ho tlo bua le ka di baka tse ding tse hara Lejweleputswa jwale ka hore ne tseba hore Lejweleputswa le na le ditopo tse 17 so Matjhabeng ina le tse 6 masepala tse ding le tsona le tsane so re lebile haholo ka batho ba etsa di commitment tsa hore ba batla ho bona ho tshintshile boemo bo ka hara Lejweleputswa bo le ka hara Matjhabeng. Re lebile haholo kaofela batho ba iphileng and re na le tshepo ya hore commitment ba di entseng di tlo tshintsa bophelo ba batho ba dulang ka hara Matjhabeng ka hara Lejweleputswa. Re a leboha ntate.
Ha re lebohele nako ya hao majoro. Mmohi wa One Free State TV eno ke majoro wa setereke sa Lejweleputswa ka kwano ka hare ho sebaka sena sa Welcome ya neng a re hlalosetsa le ho lebisa ditebo le yena ka kakaretso mme ha re ntse re tswella pele jwalo re emetse majoro wa phethahatso wa masepala wa ka kwano ka Matjhabeng e leng ntate Thando Xolo mabapi le ho tlatla re mononya maikutlo ka seboka sena jwalo ka le mona e le hore se sentse se fitla pheletso mme a se kwetse semmuso se le jwalo mme re ntse re hasetsa ka otloloa jwalo ka re sefera ya ebile se fella letsatsing la ka jeno ka kwano ka haro One Free State TV e leng e re fumanang ka kwano ka haro ho province ena e leng ya Free State e leng television fela e hasang ka otloloa haufinyana le nna mona ke se ke ntse ke na le majoro wa rona wa phethahatso mabapi le o tla utlwa maikutlo ha ele mona a kwetse seboka sena sa ka jeno semmuso majoro re a amohela ho One Free State TV ha ele mona seboka sa hao sa matsatsi a mabedi e bonala se atlehile se fitlile pheletsong molaetsa wa hao ka kakaretso kofi.
Well, ngwaneso ke re lebile haholo hore mosebetsi ona o kgonne re kgona hore re tswela pele re o phethe ka sheko. Ntho ya bohlokwa ke hore ha re na le vision re shebane le yona ke yona ntho ya bohlokwa. Jwale rona re na le short term vision and the long term ya 2050 vision re batla ho ya pele re le masepala wa Matjhabeng and re thabile haholo batho ba rona ba re supportile. Re thabile haholo ha batho ba rona bo rakgwebo wa social partners ba kgone hore supporta hore mosebetsi ona o tswele pele re batla ho leboha setjhaba sa Matjhabeng re batla ho leboha our office our employees ntle le bona be re ke ra tswela pele re tshepa hore etla e tla ba kgolo ho feta ena. Ntho e re batla batho ba rona ba fumane mesebetsi, ba sebetse, ho etsetsa ba kgone ho tswela pele ka maphelo a bona. Re batla masepala ona o tswele pele, re batla masepala ona must be the best municipality mona le Lejwe Leputswa, Freistata, hape le naheng ya rona ya South Africa.
Majoro ntate Khalipa a ke utlwile o hlalosa hape ebile hore le batla ho tsosa sehlopha sa lona sa Real Hearts le itlhopisitse jwang ho eo.
Re busy ngwaneso re a consult jwa ke buile hore ke o kopana le modulasetulo wa Premier League, re tla kopana le ba SAFA, ntate Joljane, re tla kopana le batho kaofela re bue le bana ba bang ba re na ya ga team nka e rekisa, se re kopanye bo rakgwebo ba mona Matjhabeng. Re busy ka ho ba kopanya o etsetsa hore ba kgone ho beha ditjhelete, ba kgone ho ya dibankeng, ba etse di-loan o etsa re kgone ho reka team e tla ba teng mona Matjhabeng. Le rona re le masepala wa Matjhabeng re tla e supporta, le bo rakgwebo ba mona Matjhabeng ba tla e supporta team ena. Re batla ho thabisa setjhaba sa Matjhabeng, re batla hore tourism e tsuwe mona Matjhabeng, re batla mesebetsi, ha ono ba le kgotso a batho ba rona ba sa sebetse.
Ha re phethela Majoro ke mona jwale le signile pledge e leng boitlamo le di-company tse pedi, maikutlo ao ka seo.
Ke thabile haholo, o na le ba bang ba re ha ba batla ho hlahela, ba bangatanyana ba re ha re batla ho hlahela ka pele. Re batla hore rona o re invite fela Majoro ha re se re o fetula lekwete. Jwale re thabile haholo ka batho bana ba e hlahisa ka pele le bana ba re no ba shy ha ba batla ho hlahela ka pele, mare ba re ba batla ho tsosa masepala ona ka ditjhelete tsa bona. This private money, this new money e le yona ntho ya bohlokwa ho rona. Ha government ya rona le yona e focus on the infrastructure or ho develop infrastructure ya rona mona Matjhabeng, hape le bo rakgwebo le bona e bontsha tshepo ya bo rakgwebo, e bontsha tshepo ya batho ba rona ba Matjhabeng le ba South Africa.
Ha re lebohile nako ya hao Majoro.
Re a leboha ngwaneso, re leboha le ho lona ne le media ya hore ne re support, re ke ra kgona ho ba batho ha lona ne le siko.
Mmohi eo ke Majoro wa Phethahatso ka kwano ka hare ho masepala wa Matjhabeng e leng Thandixolo Khalipa a ne a buisana le rona mona kgasong ya rona e tlileng e ikgethang sebokeng sena sa Matsete ka kwano ka hare Welkom mo masepaleng wa Matjhabeng ho One Free State TV. The future is now. Nna ke Mahlomola Ramohumane mehe re se fera ka o se tlisa pheletsong seboka sena e leng sa Matsete sa Welkom ha ebe khotso ha re arwaneng thapameng ya letsatsi la kajeno ke nka dithapo ke di kgutlisetsa ho ba se tekniki